I become the enemy. It doesn't seem fair.
Okie dokie. Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another issue of Rambling Live. Josie Cat 79 here, aka Chris. Back with my usual co-host Derek, aka Darkneon. Hello, buddy.
Greetings, fellow true believers.
Yes, and yeah. So, sorry we're talking about this like about a week later after everyone's probably already seen it or not. But there were a couple of reasons why we would go that way. One is because spoilers are usually a big sensitive topic when it comes to movies, especially Marvel movies, especially of the last few years. There's like a lot of big surprises and twists that people would like to preserve, and because of marketing and all that stuff, sometimes you get this stuff goes overseas like ahead of time for whatever reason, and then before you know it, it's a minefield out there. You'll be searching on YouTube, getting a little video for your Spider-Man retrospective. You type in Marvel, and next thing you know, you get a nice big fat cam thumbnail showing a character getting eviscerated with big title telling you who dies in this and that, and you're going, ugh. But hey, that's what happens these days, don't you see?
Well, there's that, and also the other reason that this review was kind of late was it almost didn't happen. Well, almost didn't happen with me, anyways, because, as the certain Doctor Strange or another multiverse explained, things just got out of hand.
Yeah, it's very funny because we went to go see it the same day on Cinco de Mayo, but we saw it at different times. Thanks to time zones, he got to see it ahead of me. And I'm getting prepped and ready for it, and he just came out from it. And I sent a picture of my Marvel Legends Scarlet Witch facing off against Marvel Legends Doctor Strange just on a whim. And he asked me if I had seen it. I'm like, oh, and then he explained how he might not want to do the talk for a while. I'm all, because of spoilers. So yeah, let's go with that. But after the movie came out, if I were still doing this in an retrospective, thumbnail style, I'd have to draw him as a flaming red anger ball of angry fur. Because some things were said, things that I probably would keep just between us. And other than this, probably a little embarrassing tidbit of this made my friend laugh when I actually mentioned this, that he says he might have seen something worse than Thor: The Dark World. And keep in mind, that's a movie that wasted a doctor, one of our favorite doctors. And while I enjoy that movie, Derek will kind of begrudgingly, cross his arms and say they did Eccleston dirty because if you know the history, Dark World was going to go a certain way, and then Loki was so effective in Avengers that people were like clamoring for him that they actually expanded his role and they had to cut something to keep the time. So they ended up cutting out a lot of Malekith's stuff. On top of that, they made him speak in a foreign language for a majority of the film, so you couldn't really connect with him. So I think for him, that'll always be one of the trips in the MCU that they took a great talented actor, like from Doctor Who, no less, and gave him nil to work with just for the sake of fan service. That's why that's a low bar for him. So to say something sunk lower than that should tell you how well it didn't sit with him. But let him explain himself. And we're not going to get into spoilers right now. I know we're going to say this is a spoiler discussion, but I don't know.
Well, I do have reasons that don't devolve into spoilers just yet. So, the first reason I didn't like it initially was that I am not aware of who was in charge of marketing and marketing for movies like Star Wars or Marvel or like any Disney property are usually pretty on point. But at very least, without spoiling things, they give you a gist of what you're expecting. Like, say, Moon Knight gave you like this surreal kind of like mystery that's going on. It's like, what's this? Why does this guy seem to have two different personalities? What is this like white cloaked figure? And what does Egypt have to do with everything here? Or like Star Wars, like that the initial sequel trilogy, like hate it or love it, the advertising for that definitely got you hooked without spoiling a damn thing, and it at least gave you like a mindset of what you're going to. This movie kind of dropped the ball on that. I don't know. It's like they didn't kind of address it as a horror thing. Maybe I saw the final trailer that they put out the day before. I did not see it initially because I thought, okay, I actually want to go to this with already whatever I have info enough of, and I don't need like a last minute spoil best here. And at least in that trailer, after watching it and taking a look at it, it definitely did kind of allude to like the horror aspect, but the initial trailers never actually did the horror thing, or if it did, it was more minuscule. It was more kind of like a mystery thing. Like remember the No Way Home tease where it's like Stephen Strange is walking into this ethereal, like spooky land. It's like kind of like almost as if like What If Thanos' snap was a little bit more dustier with the entire world, and it's with like this creepier Ultra Strange saying things just got out of hand. So it was kind of a little bit horror, but it wasn't like flat out horror. But I guess I should have realized that, considering that they got Sam Raimi. But in my mind, my thought was like, yes, okay, Sam Raimi has done horror stuff, but you know what else he's also done? Pretty damn effective comic book trilogy movies, I'm just gonna say here. Like, maybe that's what Marvel brought him for. Well, not like focusing on a horror thing.
If I may interject, don't forget that the first Doctor Strange was directed by a horror director, Scott Derrickson, who was known for Mirrors and other, horror films of the last few decades. That, he gave that weird sensibility that unnerved you. I mean, hell, the opening of Doctor Strange 1 has a guy get decapitated right in full view of us.
Right, but then another thing that the movie kind of trailers didn't or advertising didn't really do good effectiveness is that they say we're going to have a lot of multiverses, but okay, this might be a little bit of a spoiler, but let's just say it's not as many multiverses as you were going to expect to go into.
It's about as much the same multiverses as what you got during that time when in What If, when the Watcher and Ultron Prime were clashing through realities like glass, during their like an Injustice superhero transition.
Yeah. So.
By the way, one of those worlds was Mustafar, so somehow Star Wars probably exists within the Marvel Universe in the multiverse.
Well, it is a galaxy far, far away after all.
Alright, anyway, and third?
The third is also the fact that this movie is coming off the heels of a Disney Plus property. It's the first TV show that's actually going to have effective consequences or effects to the movies. And I know there's going to be people saying, well, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of had that too. It's like, but really did it? Honestly, the most effect that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has ever done in the Marvel Universe is helping Nick Fury dust off a helicarrier for Age of Ultron. And that's it. But any effects that happen in the movies that affect the show, that happened in spades. But it's just mostly being constrained to follow what the movies do instead of what the movies follow with the TV show. And that's what a lot of us thought was going to be the case when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to be a thing. But with Disney Plus, that promise is actually a little bit more of a reality. And with the WandaVision being it was literally the first Marvel Disney Plus show ever done. And when it started out, it was kind of a little bit odd. No one knew what to make of this oddity here, but as it progressed, it started to feel more and more like a Marvel movie production brought to the TV audience, and it's just like that. That was where we saw like the promises there. It's like we could finally see our heroes get to have their own stories without needing like blockbuster uh, time slots or something.
I mean, hell, we were just gushing
But
about Moon Knight, so that should tell you how this small little thing that was an experiment. Can we bring the excitement of the MCU into streaming services? Ended up paying off in spades, even though they already did stuff like Netflix's Daredevil and all the like. But this is on a whole nother level.
but again, yeah, but again, even those were kind of like it felt like they were kind of in their own separate universe. Only now it's starting to actually pay off. But like at that time it was like, okay, so these characters exist in the universe, but don't expect them to appear in the Avengers Endgame, is what we're saying.
But yeah, anyway, so we've invested a whole year in that. So when he sees some stuff in the movie that seems to go against everything that happened in there, well, he was perturbed, going, "Gee, thanks for letting me know that it was all for nothing."
Yeah, and you're not gonna only hear me say it. There's like plenty of personalities out there and other fans that feel very effectively like thrown off in a loop. It almost feels like we're going through like the same story beats in WandaVision as if WandaVision never happened. When actually WandaVision was literally being finished up just as production of Multiverse of Madness was starting.
Well,
like, even Sam Raimi admits that he never actually saw WandaVision. And that kind of takes red flags all of a sudden.
but he was given notes of what to take into account. I mean, he didn't have. I mean, he's a busy guy. I mean, he had to admit, like he of course had to watch Spider-Man: No Way Home to understand Strange's position. He had to watch. He did do some MCU homework, and Kevin Feige did go on record saying that we made it so that if you watch the shows, it's an enhancement for the movie. But if you had never had Disney Plus, if you never had any of that, you can still catch the long story beats. And I agree that they do let that slid out there, but it's not making it feel like an invalidation, if you ask me. But at the time,
yeah, it also does kind of give me a worry for like other future properties. Like, what if like there's murmurs of a Captain America 4 coming on? It's like, what if all of a sudden they decided, hey, yeah, the thing with Bucky actually finally getting over his Winter Soldier triggers. Yeah, let's forget about that. Let's implement that in the movie. It's like,
and Zemo was in Wakanda,
what?
and Zemo was in prison in Wakanda. But let's say he's back in UN prison and he busts out escapes from there too. Oh, and Sharon Carter isn't the power broker anymore. If they I would buy Captain America 4 if they undo that one. Then I'll laugh saying, okay, that was cute doing the whole power broker shit, but it didn't sit well with either me or Derek watching that, if you remember.
Really? Well, I mean, but that's a topic for another time. But we are here because I decided, like, okay, so a weird thing has happened. So after the movie, me and my brother, we kind of left the movie theater kind of feeling like dejected, like a lot of our hopes and expectations just kind of went to the toilet, and it even affected me to the point that like I started to make errors at like work the day after, because like my thoughts were just constantly going, thinking over the movie, thinking like, okay, could they have done this? Could they have done that? Why did they even do it like this?
When I would bring up something else, and he would give me 1,000 lists of how he would have changed things. And I'm like, okay, fine. I think you're still reeling from it. It's still a little raw.
But then, like a few days after, like it kind of simmered down to a point where I like took a step back and realized, like, okay, hold on. I'm pretty sure maybe I went into this movie with a little bit too many preconceptions of what to expect in this. Maybe I let my emotions run high at certain points. Maybe it might actually not be like the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life, because I'm still thinking about it. And usually with movies like that I genuinely despise, I do not want to actually think about it. I just kind of try to put that,
like Resident Evil
like
Final Chapter.
Final Chapter, or Fant 4 Stick.
Or Jason Goes to Hell. We're still going to watch that eventually. Anyway,
Anyways,
Happy
it's
Friday the 13th for our friends across the pond who already got Friday the 13th. So watch out when you swim.
so the point being that we are here because I decided to go to the movie theater, erase all preconceptions, knowing full well what to expect of this thing, knowing like there's certain story beats to like have to you know get ready for, and a certain scene or two that I would have to look away from just because of out of principle. And I walked away out of the second viewing completely turned around as if like I had experienced like a divergence in a multiverse in myself. Like the first time I watched this, like I hated it. The second time I go, it's like this is a Sam Raimi movie. Like when was the last time I actually got to see that?
I think the last major movie he released recently was Drag Me to Hell, I think. I mean, he did some other projects in between, but like the last time he
Well,
was.
yeah, the Evil Dead show, the Ash vs. Evil Dead. But yeah, it's like I mean, this I did feel like this is the guy that would handle because okay, so Doctor Strange in the comics, like he deals with some really bizarre ass shit. He deals with demons, he deals with nexuses, he deals with like interdimensional wormholes and all sorts of oddities, and even teams up with Ghost Rider or Defenders or two. And for someone like Sam Raimi could actually handle the insanity of certain decisions that Doctor Strange at his point in the story that is still making certain odd choice mistakes, like giving a time stone to Thanos just to have a eventual win in the end, or trying to ended up making other like renditions of a certain character's movie franchise appear in the same universe as MCU, and actually show the effects of how like the multiverse would have onto like our world if certain individuals were starting to like mingle and mesh, if you will. And also it actually helps improve showing Doctor Strange's powers, because like there are certain spells that just step back and realize like, oh yeah, some of the spells involve like summoning like odd creatures, like catching a car with like this huge like toothfish monster that jumps out like he's like catching a fly from the surface of a pond.
Or in order to stop a person, throwing out things from your hands that look like the snakes from Scorpion's hands in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I actually wanted to yell out, "Get over here!" when you did that. They do look a lot.
But, me, I actually like quietly shouted, "Why don't we get the head slicing thing?"
Oh yeah, but yeah, it is. Like I said though, here's what I went into it. Okay, Derek was just okay. I think we can warm a little in spoilers a little now, but Derek was initially against when we were watching WandaVision and we had a character come say that the Scarlet Witch did this and that and stole the Vision's body and stuff. He thought, I call BS, and it was turned out that when you saw the actual flashback, you go, I told you. But then everyone kept saying, oh gosh, she's keeping us prisoner, and I'm all saying it's probably Wanda, and he said no, it's probably someone else. So when they did that funny little Agatha Harkness reveal, he thought, I told you. So did Mark. But the thing is, though, we got to remember, this is still her world of a sitcom thing, and I think it was her influence that made the audience believe the whole, oh, it was really Agatha. But in the end, we find out in the end with her grief flashback that she did cause most, if not all, the problems that started in WandaVision, just because she had no one to turn to. She was at her lowest point post Endgame, where the only one who could, her brother is dead. The only guy who could understand her was Vision, and she had to watch him die twice. One by her own hand, the other by a guy that ended up destroying her. She comes back, and she's not a happy camper. And they save the day. They lose Tony Stark, and everyone gets to go home happy. But she's still here holding the pieces of what's left of her life. And when that grief coalesced into a big burst of raw power, it created her comfort zone, because when she was a kid she watched sitcoms and stuff, and she started to live those out. But every now and then, even though she was trying to live in this fantasy world, bits of reality would poke in to remind her that, what you're doing is not right. Like, she would see her husband suddenly as a zombified version of him when he was ripped out by the Infinity Stone, or she would have people say real names that would suddenly trigger flashbacks to, like, losing her brother or losing the... So, the point is, she was not well, and she had to learn to find a way to sort herself out. And I told you, I'm still hearing signs that she might actually be the antagonist for Doctor Strange and Derek's all, no, but she's not going to be the bad guy, I swear. It's going to be some other thing. Maybe she might do some things out of line, but there's probably going to be some bigger bad... Hell, I think he would have been happy with that wedding-stealing mother effer from hell being the one behind it all if they actually revealed Mephisto.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Mephisto is a Doctor Strange villain. I mean, it's like... It would be like, okay, for Doctor Strange villains entry, let's put in they'll put in the Rhino for Spider-Man. It's like, I'm sorry, what? It's like trying to shove two different puzzle pieces together.
He has fought the Juggernaut, though.
I mean, I can kind of understand where that comes from. I mean,
but point is that Derek was always hesitant about the idea of making her full-on villain, especially when you kind of feel for her during the course of WandaVision. So, but he kept saying the trailer's not really showing us the villain. Hell, even the trailers were very vague about what the threat was. You see, like, billowing clouds, and you have people saying stuff like strange, like, Steven, the real threat to this multiverse is you, and they would show Sinister Strange and stuff like that. And you were thinking, oh hell, Derek had just come off of What If, so seeing a quote-unquote evil Doctor Strange made him go, oh crap, that is not the Sorcerer Supreme, is it? The Strange Supreme? And turns out this is from another one. We find out it's not the case, thankfully. In fact, there was a lot of misdirect, but they were very vague about who or what the threat is, just that it's going to be crazy, and hey, every now and then you see a tentacled monster that for legal reasons can't be called Shumagorath. But it was pitched as, look how crazy we can get. And on top of that, it didn't help that all the rumor mills, all the people who had to make clicks to like get things going were hearing reports about, you won't believe who's going to show up in this movie. And judging by the way I inflected her voice and everything, I think you know exactly which person I'm talking about. We're not going to say her name just so we won't have any problems, but people who know who I'm talking about.
Right. So.
But
But to be, I mean, like I do, even though I still walked away for the second time liking it, I do still feel this is kind of a rough cut here. Like we feel like we're having another Rise of Skywalker, where like it would have benefited just to have a few more minutes. Like, is that really hard? Is that really going to affect your bottom line for ticket sales in the long run? To add like a few more minutes to just clean a few things.
Just for the record, most of these cuts were Sam's call to begin with. Plus, he said that when he revisited it, I thought of a better way to like convey the same information, but in a much more brisk pace that would still keep the audience along. Because he says, rather than bog the movie down with exposition and stuff in that breathing room, he thought he would do stuff. Because there was some Bruce Campbell said in an interview, oh yeah, there's stuff that Sam shot that's probably not going to be in there because of studio requests, and there's stuff that the studio requests that Sam wasn't too keen on. I don't even think Benedict Cumberbatch himself knows if he's going to be in this movie or not. He said it jokingly. But this isn't a case of the studio dicking around and Sam was shackled and forced to, because he's proud of the movie he has made. And it's not like another instance from recent memory where stuff like that happened and people were demanding another version, and we find out that version was indeed drastically different. It's not going to be like that with this, but remember, the end all be all of Marvel is good old Kevin Feige, and he has an idea of where he's going and stuff like that. And if you are going to play along with that ball, you got to be willing to do that. I mean, director Joss Whedon had to fight hard to have his barn sequence because he thought it really humanized the Avengers, and he really needed it to be there. But he kept saying, you have to do this setup for Infinity War. Like, no, I want to keep my barn. Well, if you don't do it, we're going to cut the barn sequence. And he ended up doing it, and that's why he had a hard time with that movie. So that's why it feels like the movie's going at a nice pace, and out of nowhere we have to go see Thor Skinny Dip and get teasers for future movies. but
Right.
but
But like, I'm not talking adding like full scenes back. I'm talking like 3 minutes, maybe a flashback or two. It's just
but
okay. So
and
I guess we could. How are we gonna handle this?
uh,
Let's play book here. What's a
uh
play, Captain?
I'll take the lead. But yeah. So the oh, but I will say that there was initially a first cut that was longer, and by reporter sources, insiders saying much more gorier than what we ended up getting. I'll say that right now. This movie surprised me just how much of Sam is in it. And if you know Sam from Evil Dead and all those other movies, even Spider-Man, he kind of pushed the lid here and there. He got to go Sam Raimi here at times. I mean, you got a literal cloak made out of the damned souls of screeching skeletons, coming at you, which feels like something straight out of the Necronomicon. You got an onslaught where, people hear whispers in their mind that make them break rank, and the next thing you know, it's pure carnage. I mean, this, hell, even the hero dispatches bad guys in a grisly way, like, spoilers if you're a fan of that gigantic tentacle monster who may or may not be Shumagora. He gets his eye plucked out by Doctor Strange, and they don't shy away. You're going, oh yeah, that thing is dead.
Yep. That I admit, like, even watching the movie and seeing certain things like that, I did have a chuckle. Aside from one incident where it kind of almost had a little bit of a heart attack.
But on top of that, hell, this movie jumps right into things, but at the same time, it still has some breathing room where I go, this reminds me of some of the better aspects of, like, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. Hell, every review, especially for people who love this movie, are saying that the biggest thing that sticks out is just the way Sam frames things, the way he does camera moves, the way he adds personality just to the simple act of turning the camera so you can see things in a way that, when you also use to look at another angle, you realize, oh crap, that's what's going on. So he does a lot of stuff like that. And which is, people say, if you watch the other Marvel stuff, there's a lot of pre-planned fixed shots and a lot of pre-planned stuff. So even if the guy's known for a directing style, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle of the Marvel machine. I mean, if you look at, say, an action sequence in, say, Iron Man 2, where they actually had a hammer drone sequence storyboarded by Genndy Tartakovsky, thank you. Genndy Tartakovsky of Clone Wars and Dexter's Lab fame, you see the personality bleed through. Now compare that to a fight in, say, Civil War, which is a fun fight, but a lot of it is a different flavor than something a little more stylized, like that drone fight in Iron Man 2, or hell, even any of the fights in, like, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they're riveting fights and all, but it does not have the same kinetic energy of, say, the fighting in something like Shang-Chi or something like that. So, I mean, different flavor and all, but point is that Sam really, it does feel like a Sam Raimi movie. He has crossfades. He does the whole, it's a lot like some of his best stuff in Darkman or Army of Darkness, or even like the Spider-Man movies. And it even helps that he's got his old music partner back in the sling again with Danny Elfman, who, oh my gosh, the music alone already gave me saying, okay, I'm pumped for this. Hell, there is a particular moment where they let the music take center stage, and I was just having a ball with that. In fact, people said that's a good measure if you like this movie or not. If you think that this musical fight scene was amusing or annoying, because there's people who thought, that was the stupidest thing I saw in a movie, and others going, oh my god, that was such a Doctor Strange moment. Because the thing is that Doctor Strange is Sam Raimi's second favorite hero. We all know his number one is actually the Amazing Webhead, so Spider-Man. So to him to tackle another Ditko character, he really relished at showing the zaniness of Strange's powers. Because as cool as they were in Doctor Strange 1 and some of the parts he appeared in the Avengers movies, it's mostly been the same orange ring stuff. Every now and then...
I'd argue that Infinity War definitely, like, upped things up, like, who's gonna forget about the multi-arm?
Yes, that's usually, that's when you I think you literally hear people in the audience yell out, "Whoa!" when that happens. So yeah, Sam relishes in all that stuff, all that goodness, and he lets the heroes be heroes, and he lets the people in them really stick out. Because yes, Doctor Strange is this you know mighty powerful hero who's walked amongst gods and took down great threats, but in the end he's still a man who has some loss, he has some wants, but his duty compels him to do the right thing. And Sam really lets you not forget about that, because if this was all just a bunch of hokey special effects and crazy camera moves, it wouldn't be for worth shit. But because it's Sam, he part of why Spider-Man works so well in those movies that he did is that you never forgot about the people behind it. Doc Ock is a real person despite him having these mechanical arms. He knows his wants and needs. MJ, is a person going through her wants and needs, and you believe in her struggles. Picking between marrying a person that is actually giving her the attention she so craved, but also wanting it from someone who claims to love her so long. Like it's you feel that pathos. So it's not about like the big train fights or the web slinging or the pumpkin bombs. It's about these people in the center. In fact, if you look at our 3-hour web prospective, we explain how that's what really made that first movie pop. It wasn't just about, oh gee whiz, I'm Spider-Man and I can do whatever Spider can. It's like you got to know Parker before he became the Spider-Man. You got to see him become the hero that his uncle knew he would be. So Doctor Strange, you see him reaching that potential that the Ancient One saw in him when she took him in, even despite the fact that they said, he's a lot like your other brilliant students, and those guys either walked away, for their own ends, or ended up going on a darker path like Caecilius or Mordo eventually. So you get to see that flourish through this movie, despite it, it really is a dual lead movie with Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, who is an interesting place since we saw her last. But let's just go with I like how the movie just starts off literally running. We're running with our new gal America Chavez being defended by Defender Strange, another variant of him, plus a monster. And they don't hesitate. I mean, hell, they even make a callback to a line where he has to make the call to kill the girl that he's trying to save, because that's the only way to victory. And he says the line that came back to haunt us in the ass from No Way Home. I'm sorry, but in the grand calculus of the multiverse, your sacrifice means more than your life ever will. Like, shit. Like, and he immediately gets impaled for that. So,
whoops.
I'm just saying though, it's funny how you see each Strange is different from, like, this one has a ponytail, for example, but as the joke goes. But each Strange is different, but there's a lot of similarities that make this the same Strange in a way, which is something that explores in the movie. Because one thing I really loved was they explored the concept of something called dreamwalking, where they say, those dreams where it's like something really happened. Those aren't just dreams. That's actually your consciousness in another you, in another reality, which is crazy to think. And for those of us who have very vivid dreams, to even relish the thought that those dreams we have are actually just another reality, or let's say
windows to another world, if you will.
Yeah, let's just say if in one universe you're one way, but in another universe, let's say you're a perky cheerleader on the team and all that stuff. That to think that that's a multiverse, that is something rather mind blowing, if you ask me. I mean, I think more could have been done with that. I mean, I'm not saying enough wasn't done, but I think that you could really get a lot of mileage out of that very concept.
Right.
That those. So it's very funny. One of my favorite scenes, also dealing with the aftermath of Endgame, because this is still a post-Endgame movie, is when we see Steven getting suited up for a wedding, and we think, oh, is he the groom? And he's actually a guest to Christine's wedding, and he actually meets up with his old doc friend from that surgeon he corrected in Doctor Strange 1, where he also was blipped and came back, and a lot of stuff has happened since then. That he lost his cats, his brother had passed away very close. It's like, he missed out on a lot of stuff on account of both him and Strange being blipped, but he gave him that one question that, was there really no other way? And you can tell Steven probably asks himself that every day. And he says, no, this was the way it had to go down. He went through every possible timeline in that time stone loop, that meditation, and there was only one in the infinite multitude of the cosmos where they were able to beat Thanos in a way that worked out for the most part. So,
Unless, of course, if you're how it should have ended, in which case you got like I don't know 4 or 5. I lost count.
but yeah, this I love that we're still dealing with fallout from Endgame. Hell, you could argue that the motivations for Wanda are again a direct causality of what Steven did. Steven giving the stone to Thanos led to Thanos' victory, ultimate victory, and the loss of.
Right, because if Strange had I mean, I guess okay, so but let's just say the nice big emotional dramatic sacrifice that Vision gives thematically it looks like, oh, it's a tearjerker, breaks your heart. I even forgot, oh wait, this is Thanos' movie, and he turns the clock back and makes it not happen so that he can grab the stone intact and kill Vision in the end.
So I wonder if she knew. Okay, apparently everybody knows what Strange's part was because he kept saying, you're the guy who gave Thanos the stone. And was there any other way? And he has to keep reminding people, yes, it was the only way that we could win. I'm sure, yeah. Yeah, I love that Fallout is still a thing. And,
I do understand there's some people that are kind of, still miffed that, everything has to be up the blip. It's it's already been, a few years. We already know that happened. Why is it? But it's well, you have to also remember that, the MCU rises and falls due to, big events. There's a wave of movies that happen because of the events of the first Avengers movie. Certain artifacts being, used in the aftermath, with Vulture and Spider-Man Homecoming, or S.H.I.E.L.D. getting a little bit more too tight-knit in Winter Soldier, or the fact that the remnants of that battle, including the Scepter being held by a sect of Hydra, leading to Age of Ultron, which Age of Ultron would also lead to
Civil War
events leading to Civil War, and Civil War itself is also a big factor in things to come, which would lead to Infinity War, which would immediately follow with Endgame, and Endgame would be a big milestone, which would have a ripple effect across the entire cosmos.
So yeah, it affected Winter Soldier and Falcon. It affected Spider-Man. Far From Home. It's just Endgame still has fallout. So people are going, we get it. It happened. Get on with it. Well, it's just how.
Let's just say if you think that's annoying, imagine what the next big event is gonna be, and hear everyone talk about that one to death.
The Secret War clash on Battleworld. Anyway, so I like that Benedict Cumberbatch gets a chance to show you Strange Vulnerable, because it does ask that important question that he said he asked himself in dreams, which is, are you happy? Are you happy with where you are in life? Because you see him, drinking his sorrows away, even though, he's happy for Christine finally finding someone that cares about her, but he's probably thinking, if it wasn't for this avenging stuff, that could have been me, he's probably thinking. And that reminds me of Spider-Man, how you got Peter Parker wanting to comfort his girlfriend across the street after play, but then he got a bunch of police cars running between him, and he has to choose between save the day or be with himself, and he ultimately chooses to go with the hero. So Doctor Strange is a lot the same way too. I love how he still trades barbs with Christine, in that way that they've gotten together, that very fun way, where she does admit one of the real reasons she couldn't really hook up with him is because, well, in the end, he has to be the one holding the knife when it comes to surgery between the two. He always has to be the one making the call. So it's it was very hard to rectify that, even with the 5-year difference and stuff like that. So after that happened, a prime example of what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, people are panicking because there's an unseen monster running around, and Strange has to do Strange duties right there.
And of course, we have to also mention that another big concept of the movie is focusing on Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch, as she finally gets to be like in the flesh after the end of WandaVision. And the other, there aren't a lot of comic book fans that know that Scarlet Witch is kind of like a chaotic neutral in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
She is to the Avengers what the Phoenix Force is to the X-Men. It's like they're one way or another, but they're gonna be both on certain days.
Well, it's funny. It's very similar to the Phoenix, but yeah. The as we know, the Scarlet Witch was mentioned in WandaVision as someone that was a Nexus being, which is a big deal in the multiverse. Hell, the Dark Home book that Agatha has a whole section on the multiverse and a page dedicated to the Scarlet Witch. Hell, she even declares, "Your chaos magic that makes you the Scarlet Witch."
And it might seem like it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but if you watch a certain show like Loki at the end, you know that a certain moment timed precisely at the moment where things go south or things go up north for one show, things go south in another. It's like the fate of the multiverse is kind of like in flux now because like her getting these powers all of a sudden, all because she had to defend her own self. And in the grand scheme of things, she doesn't really care about like the whole mythos of the Scarlet Witch. She just wanted happiness and all of that, and she had to eventually learn that even in her fight, she had to give that happiness away and punish Agatha for that transgression. But she still ended up getting the Darkhold. And okay, so the first time I'm watching this, they don't. I felt like they didn't really give the Darkhold that much emphasis. But the second time, it did almost feel like it. I guess I was just kind of mostly like sitting there thinking of like, oh, maybe this is hitting towards something like a bigger threat, like maybe a Nightmare or like another Doctor Strange villain that you've seen in like something like the Spider-Man '94 show when like Spidey had to team up with the Doctor Strange.
Or maybe Mordo was somehow behind it, because that's the one.
that was another like left fishing lore that was left open at the end of the first Doctor Strange. As Mordo feels desensitized and like betrayed, the 18-1 was dealing with dark powers without mentioning everything. That everything like the bill comes later. Everything has a price.
He's still waiting for that damn bill to come, dude.
And it's like, but unfortunately, Mordo doesn't have a big role. At least not in what the Universe 616, the MCU, our MCU that we're following in the grand calculus of things. But so he does and he doesn't. Let's just say.
Yeah. So point is though is that I love that we still get acknowledgement that WandaVision does happen, because we have she's going through her own dream walking where she's seeing her children, because at the end
not dream walking. She's just dreaming.
But yeah, but in WandaVision, she ends up flying off to parts unknown, and we don't know what will become of her. But there is an after credit sequence where she finds this ancient, secluded cabin somewhere, and you think, oh, she's just having tea, but then you see that she's actually deep in trying to like study the inner workings of the Darkhold, and through the grand pull of the multiverse, because the multiverse is weakening thanks to that Nexus event in Loki and all the other tomfoolery that's been happening, that's been weakening those threads across the multiverse. She could hear echoes where her children are actually a thing, because I love that line, by the way, when he goes, Wanda, those kids were not real, you made them using magic. And she goes, that's what every mother
does.
And I go, oh.
Okay, so if we're gonna discuss this, we are gonna have to say this is the point of no return. This is the spoilers. It's like once you start down this path, it will like ripple into how you want to enjoy this or not. But let's be fair. You've seen our thumbnail. It says spoiler discussion. We're gonna discuss it like it or not, because like the advertisements don't do justice on it. Then like I don't know what I'm rambling about.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, but
With
that's the name of the game, aren't we? We're rambling, aren't we?
with the benefit of hindsight, it was so funny how he was uh, right before this happened. He was hyping up. I can't wait to see Wanda in her movie, and Doctor Strange is in it. Yeah, but she's clearly in the center spot. This is going to be her movie, and it is, so to speak. It is her movie in the same way that Infinity War, even though it's about the Avengers, is actually Thanos' movie to that same capacity. I might add.
So yes, when Stephen Strange goes, because it turns out the monster sent after this girl, America Chavez, has runes that are more witchcraft than sorcery. He feels that why not bring in help from a like someone who was an Avenger, someone that we know can handle something as big as this. And she seems fine and all until she accidentally slips that she knows the name of the girl that's being chased, and Doctor Strange never told her what the name was. And it turns out that Wanda is the one that's sending these monsters after her.
As she put it, she was being reasonable.
So yeah, I was initially pissed off that they kind of made Wanda be. And it's the first time I watched it, I just go okay, so this is kind of like a Civil War kind of deal, where we have two different sides that have certain wants and needs, but there's also this puppet master behind that's also setting off this chain reaction going into the multiverse. So we're going to see the bigger threat, and it never comes.
You were hoping that
it comes, but you have to really be paying attention to the details that are going on in the movie.
You were hoping for a Mephisto or Nightmare to be the Zemo to this conflict, right?
Well, it doesn't help that Mark kept insisting that, hey, there are rumors that Nightmare is going to be the villain of this.
He was at one point, yeah.
And it kind of makes sense because we mentioned that the whole dreams or windows to realities. That what figure would be a good villain, but someone who would take dreams and warp it into nightmares? Someone who would want to destabilize the multiverse to be nothing but endless sorrow, or let's say dark universe. But DC already kind of got the whole gist of it with Dark Knights, so I guess we got to go with the Demented Witch, I guess.
And yeah, the thing is that she wants to get America Chavez's power to traverse the multiverse as a means to get to a reality where her children are in fact real, and she knows they're real because of the dreams. Since we now established that dreams are just windows to another reality, the fact that she is seeing, because it's not just memories conjured up from WandaVision, but actual flesh and blood beings, of course she would want that, because that's all she's asking for. She's given up her brother, her normal life, her parents, her love of her life. She's given that all up, and what has she gotten back for it? Nothing but pain and fear, people afraid of her and all that stuff. So she can't control their fear, only her own, and she knows she's willing to do whatever it takes to get to that single-minded goal. She wants a warm light.
It also didn't help that at the end of WandaVision, the post-credits scenes had her hearing her boys crying out for help. But maybe it's a different multiverse. We don't get to go to that one. Don't know what the story is with that one.
For all we know, she probably saw ahead in time, because the way they yell out for Mom is the way that they yell out for her when she eventually does breach her way and scares them as the witch. So maybe she kind of peeked ahead.
Yeah, but it's... So they do mention that the reason why she is pushed to this is that she has a hold of the dark hold. It's the Book of the Damned, or as I jokingly called it in my time of spiting this movie, the evil book of really nasty, no good, bad.
On top of that, you see
because it's essential. I felt like blaming all the decisions that Wanda will do in this movie to a book is about as basis to say, all the violence across America isn't done by these shooters, it's the guns. Let's blame the guns for that. That's the problem right there.
There are people who do that. So anyway, the thing is though that you do see she has extensive use with the black fingertips. Even the poster kind of shows it.
And also watching it the second time, I do also notice that her costume is starting to go from red, the rich, lovely maroon red that we see in her debut in WandaVision, and you're also starting to see some black going through. So it's oddly enough, it's almost like Sam Raimi trying to do another try at Spider-Man 3. But the fact that they do at least in the second view show that there's a lot of cues that are showing that she is being corrupted by this book at least gives credence. I just wish they could have like really emphasized that this book is corrupted, or like add some ethereal voices. This is They also call this book, the Darkhold, the Book of the Damned. Why can't we hear some like spooky voices echoing or like around wherever you see it on screen? That's usually like go-to thing whenever like movies or TV shows do
Well,
that.
that
Like,
would take away her.
have a glance at something and you hear like some echoes of some things.
Well,
Heck, you can maybe make the echoes of the voices sound like her. Like maybe it's the voices of the Scarlet Witch persona, not Wanda.
but that would take away her agency, so to speak. It, kind of the same way that the Goblin is taking away the agency of Norman Osborn, where this is all her. This is, if it's anything, it's like the symbiote in Spider-Man 3 that even though it has a will of its own and everything, and it made Spider-Man act out, it still enhanced and amplified his worst traits. He became more cocky, he became more brash and reckless, and he downright, was willing to do whatever it took to satiate those darker impulses. He wanted to kill the guy
Right.
who got his uncle, so...
And also, I guess it also, upon retrospect, when I watched it the second time, you also have to remember that Wanda now realizes that, okay, like, all the powers that she thought were just, like, telekinesis and, like, telepathic and stuff and all that is now turns out to be magic. And she's having to learn that she's doing, like, all these, like, hexes and, like, witchcraft and all that. It's kind of, if you're not prepared to understand what you're doing with that, it's gonna feel like a kid fighting the gun cabinet open.
Yeah, and like Agatha said, she was doing a lot of magic on autopilot, basically, because of her sheer amount of chaos magic and anything like that. And of course, the book was the only way that could tell her about it, so of course she's using that. And yeah, you could say, yeah, the book ended up, skewing her astray. But in the end, this was only amplifying what was already there, the trauma, the hurt, the pain from we saw in WandaVision and in Avengers Ultron and all that stuff. So, hell, like, don't forget, she was almost full tilt villain in Age of Ultron until she realized that the guy that she wanted to help wanted to blow up the entire world with a meteor.
Right, but well, let's just kind of downgrade that. She wasn't full tilt villain. It was mostly just trying to get payback for like this one man that like made these weapons that like essentially caused her family to die. And like if like these two heroes that like back him up have to be put down too, then so be it. But she was never like seeking like destruction of like Sokovia or like other places that have like peoples and crowds in them.
But
So
yeah,
it's like she has
to be
tendencies,
fair,
but she's not like a full blown bloodthirsty psychopath.
but she wasn't bloodthirsty in this movie either. And I'm being serious. But she only
Right,
destroyed.
right. 'Cause I remember like, all right. So I guess I was kind of like still in the mindset like secret like bases usually tend to have people guards, and I kind of forgot. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. In this dimension, this certain place has Ultron bots. So it's basically just like thinking back to like Samurai Jack season 5, where like Jack has to constantly remind himself that just robots, just nuts and bolts, just nuts and bolts.
But yeah, the thing is that because of her single-minded obsession of returning to her children, she, like I said, she sent the monsters out as a mercy. Because yeah, the monsters were scary and they're getting things, but hell, at least they'd only be after the girl. Like Gargantos, as this tentacled beast that's not Shumagora by legally, is going around, he's not actively terrorizing people. He's just hunting for the girl, and anyone who gets in the way is what will be to them. But so, like you said, me sending that monster, you'll see, was mercy, because the Scarlet Witch Unbound is not something you want to face. And we see in the Great Carmitage assault, where all these guys decide to stand up to her. She only attacks those that were going for her first, if you notice. Like, even the Carmitage, she gave them a lot of chances to run away, but they would either fight or shoot something destructive. She's like, okay, I'll just throw it back. I gave you guys your chance, and she decided to go.
And she is also kind of miffed that, like, this one girl that Strange and the others meet for, like, what is it, like 3 hours maybe max. They're setting up a huge army fortress for protect her, but like a comrade that fought in arms against Thanos, like she doesn't get like a say.
Yeah, so hell, even Wong is great, by the way. Wong is still holding the title of Sorcerer Supreme due to the fact that Strange was dusted for 5 years. So there's a running joke where he always tells Strange, is custom to bow to the Sorcerer Supreme. And Strange like,
I know.
Yeah. And then when because they figure we're going to need all the help we can get to block against the Scarlet Witch. Even they know the Scarlet Witch is bad news. So they got everybody from the London branch and Shanghai branch coming, and they were bowing respectfully to Wong. He's like, see, they uphold traditions. But point is that, Wong told Strange, whatever you say might determine the fate of everything, so just use your words carefully. And Strange pretty much said, eat shit, we're not giving her to you.
No pressure.
I mean, he didn't say it to those extent, but he basically told Wanda, yeah, no, we don't care about your situation. We're just going to hold on to her. And if you get in our way, the whole might of the Carmitage will go against you. And she's thinking, oh, how cute. She doesn't say it, but she's just thinking, oh, how cute. You guys think you actually have a chance. And for a while, they were holding strong. But this is... Remember, Scarlet Witch's early appearance had her freaking people out with their worst fear. And this is where the creepiness of Sam Raimi really starts to come in. It starts. I mean, it slowly starts creeping in at the Carmitage assault. I mean, you got her going. Strange tries to use the mirror after she lays waste to the defenses. She tries to go through the mirror world. As we learn, the mirror dimension doesn't affect the real world and that stuff. And she gets trapped in a hull of mirrors and spikes. But then she pulls an Evil Dead and starts turning the mirrors into water, and any watery surface is a means for her to affect the real world. And I thought, oh shit, that was cool. I thought when I first saw that.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, it's like, throw back to Evil Dead. That's cool.
I still to this day that still makes my mind just go whoa. Like I go full Neo whoa no matter how many times I've seen that movie. Where I think one time me and Derek were rewatching the original Evil Dead, and I think I audibly went whoa when Ash was looking at the mirror and he just sticks a hand out and then the mirror just goes bloop.
Yeah, I still say the second one had a lot better. I'm fine. Yeet! Oh, I don't think so. We just carved our girlfriend with a chainsaw. Does that sound high?
I just realized that was a precursor to Defoe's Norman mirror talk too. So, man, Sam's been practicing for these for years, basically. But yeah, hell, when she comes out, finally catches up with Strange and Wong and Deep in Carmitage, she pretty much comes out Sadako style from a gong.
or like Bill Skarsgård from It Chapter 1.
Yeah, and the thing is, because she still tries to reason with Strange, and she realizes, okay, have it your way, and she's about to get them, and America decides to, the thing about America's powers, you find out, is that she doesn't quite have a handle on doing it at will. It usually tends to come in great moments of distress. And when you're about to be kidnapped by a crazy psychopathic, chaos witch, I'm pretty sure you're scared shitless and might end up, It's kind of like when an octopus inks, if that makes any sense.
Right.
And this is where Derek's initial excitement and immediate disappointment follow, where he goes, oh, great, we're going to the multiverse. And he goes, and I bet you he's thinking, hey, wait, can't we just stay there for a bit? Oh, I didn't quite catch that. Can we stop? No, okay, now we're gone from there too. Oh, wait, are they paint?
No, know. The first time I saw that, I was kind of excited to say, "Oh, we're getting a tease. Like, sure, this is gonna like be a like big set piece to the final climax." And oh god, I wish it was still now. Like, it would have definitely fit the title, "Multiverse of Madness." I'm just saying, it's a chase battle is all I'm asking.
So the final battle from Thor: The Dark World, then?
Yes, but on a much more crazier scale.
Yeah, 'cause you gotta be honest. As much as we have our issues with that movie, that part actually is amusing, especially when Mjolnir's going through each dimension too, and Darcy points it out, the convergence. Anyway, yeah. So, oh god, imagine if they were in this. By the way, I think the world that really made us go, wow, they really got creative was the paint world. I mean, come on, just come on. How can you not be intrigued by that, eh?
Even like the Strange in America at the point that it's like, were we painting one universe? Yeah, you don't want to get stuck in that. It's hard to eat.
Yeah. But I think there was one universe that was animated in the exact style of What If, I think. Or one of the 60s shows. I'm not sure.
I actually thought that was kind of like a little bit of a animation style of What If.
Yeah, that's what I thought so too. Or maybe even Spider-Verse. Who knows? But eventually they do. I mean, we're not going to do a recap. But what I like is that while these are fleeting glimpses, Sam did have fun with the idea of, in this world everything's all cubist, and in this world you got like, I mean, to be fair, we kind of got a version of this in the first movie anyway, when the Ancient One's unlocking his mind to the multiverse, and you got that one dimension where like fingers grow on hands, and that first one's still pretty trippy.
I do feel like one of the universes we went through was the end of the director's cut of Army of Darkness. No! I still had too long!
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, that's a good point to point out. When they do land in the final multiverse where red means go and green means stop, they have pizza balls.
Let's just say this is the universe 838.
They meet Bruce Campbell. we laughed. Some of us in the theater knew it was him and just went woo, because he's just the Papa Pizza guy saying that, you know the thing. America has this misconception. I guess she's from a universe where money's not that much of a factor. Says you don't have to pay in this multiverse, and then hey, you gonna pay for that? Apparently you do have to pay for food in this multiverse. And there's good old Bruce Campbell getting the Sam Raimi treatment of self-harm and slapstick comedy.
I was amazed that even at his age, he's still pulling that off.
I mean, it leads to a very
funny gag. Like I would throw a lid if I saw him like flipping himself over on the ground. It's like, dude, you don't realize you're not like in your 20s anymore.
Even in Ash vs. Evil Dead, he still kind of gets like thrashed about, eh?
Like, I guess he just got like the threshold of pain, I guess.
But yeah, so anyway, that aside, we find out.
Also, an aside, it's like now finally I get to see what pizza balls look like from that Oxy Hunger Force episode. Yep, and they also have burger chops. Burger chops? I think they stopped making those. Pizza balls?
So
these all pennies at once. Purchase all pizza balls. Burger chop. Yeah. Oh, there you are. Yeah, you take this, and we gotta go.
So one thing about Strange that's a good parallel to Wanda is that, like Wanda, he too has wants and needs. Like, he wonders if there could ever be a happiness with him and Christine in the vast multiverse. And when he does meet up with a Christine from 838?
838.
When he meets up with a Christine from 838, she points out how, yeah, we didn't quite work out. He's like, of course. He's thinking, oh yeah, of course, my counterpart would screw up in this universe too. And he's wondering if there was even a chance for him to be happy. Hell, I think Strange would have been mortified if he saw the multiverse where What If happened, where no matter what that Strange did, he couldn't save Christine's life. Like, the universe, I think, if to go with Doctor Who terms, I think in that multiverse, her death was
it's a fixed timeline.
Yeah, so doesn't matter what Strange would do with it. So I'm sure if 616 Steven saw that universe, he'd be mortified, going, oh, gosh, am I even meant to be with her at all? But no, so
Now, to be fair, I'm sure the stipulations that you were saying, like, okay, Christine has to die before Thanos shows up. Like, doesn't matter what, but she's got to go.
I mean that multiverse ends up imploding on itself thanks to the actions of Steven. But anyway, the thing is that we find out that Strange does have a bit of a I know what I'm doing, just like Wanda does, but he at least has the sense to know, okay, maybe I'm going too far. Wanda is so fixated on her goal that she doesn't quite see it that way, that nothing is too far as long as it gets to reunite her with her children. But Steven is told by other people that, hey, guess what? Your actions kind of fucked a lot of people over. Like when we get to the 838 and he has to be put on trial because he meets up with Mordo and he points out something where I'm sure Derek's all, bitch, when did that happen? When he says, oh, this is Mordo. We were brothers in arms until he turned against me. He's been trying to kill me ever since. You're like, did I miss something?
When, I don't know. I guess there was a threat at one point, and then they kind of dropped it. It's like how are we gonna deal with that?
But I like how Strange has to mention to America, yeah, he was my friend, but now he's trying to kill me. I'm like, where in Doctor Strange?
Hello. I'm sorry. Can we at least see credence to that? Maybe there's like a spin-off show or something.
Because that's the thing that's been bugging Derek since it happened at the end of Doctor Strange, where he says, I know what's wrong with the world. Too many sorcerers. And you're thinking, oh shit, he's going to be going after all magic users. And then you see people like Agatha and Wanda running around willy-nilly, and he's all, Mordo, you sure you're not going to do something about this? Hell, he thought Mordo would cameo in WandaVision given the natural inclination of things.
Did I? Well, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but...
Oh, yeah, so when he sees Mordo, he's like, oh, great, we're seeing Mordo, but it's not our Mordo. It's a Mordo where apparently he was really chill with Strange. Apparently.
Which, again, is like the tricks of like the advertising. They kind of make it seem like, oh, it's Mordo, so I guess we're just going to pick up that little thread that we left off from the first one.
No,
well, right, so I'm going to have to wait around, because that's definitely not the same Mordo. We're like having the thread going around.
If we're to believe my news reporter's insider source, 616 Mordo was supposed to have a small part where he attempts to assassinate the Scarlet Witch early on, but oopsie, off with his head.
Huh.
Because you said, I read, that there was a Mordo was supposed to be decapitated in this movie, but by the Scarlet Witch, but I guess Kevin Feige didn't want to close that door off entirely. But yeah, we find out that this Sanctum Sanctorum is run by is a universe where Strange had died, and it's now run by Baron Mordo. And this is such an Empire Strikes Back moment where you think, I've been anticipating this day for a long time. You're thinking, oh crap, is he gonna fight? And then he just pulls him into a hug. I'm going, how you doing, you old pirate? I'm thinking. And of course, he ends up, drugging them with tea with some sands that neutralize Strange's ability. But this is where the big thing happens. We find out that everybody in this multiverse thinks Strange is a problem because they're Strange in his arrogance messed with the Darkhold and ended up accidentally causing a collision of multiverses called incursions. So they're saying, if we let one Strange do this, so who's not to say another Strange won't? Like, they kind of stereotype all Stranges as being guys who know better than everybody, who thinks they can shoulder the whole universe on their shoulders, and end up causing a lot of fallout and death as a result of it. I'm sure that's what they would if they were to judge his memories, that's probably what they would judge him giving the Time Stone to Thanos as being his, I know what I'm doing, I have to be the one holding the knife here. And that goes back to what Christine was, criticizing him for. But Strange, is he knows that I also probably got a little bit of a lip bite fear when Wanda shot magic at Strange while they were fleeing, and Clokey takes a big hit. And as you know us, we loved the first Doctor Strange. Clokey was such a cute integral. He's like Carpet from Aladdin.
Oh yeah, that's another thing they didn't like. They downplayed everyone's favorite living cape.
Even in Infinity War, Clokey got quite. Hell, even Tony says you're a loyal piece of outerwear. But the the arc for Wanda is that she does do what they call dreamwalking, where they find out that with the Darkhold she could actually possess any other variant of her out within the multiverse, but that hold is tenuous. It only lasts for so long. So while she's getting these brief moments of happiness, feeling her boys again, it's not meant to last. So she's thinking, in the grand calculus of the multiverse, if I take this girl's power, I can visit them freely. And
then there's also the question of like, yeah, but what happens to the Wanda of that universe? What happens to those boys' actual mother? And of course, Wanda has no answer to that.
But she ends up parroting Thanos by saying, "They will never know that I pretty much cuckooed their mother." Cuckoo, do you know where the cuckoo bird replaces the. So the fact that she's using the justifications that the person she nearly peeled like an onion a movie ago shows you just how off the wagon she has fallen in her madness. Because even I thought.
And
so, while Strange.
I guess we should also bring up that there's certain so you've heard rumors that this movie had a bit of a reshoot going on, and the Illuminati, a big thing in the comics where it's made up of like the most brilliant and the most influential heroes making big decisions, like say send Hulk off to another planet and effectively making him be a leader over there, and accidentally letting that same rocket also end up blowing that back in the face and causing World War Hulk in the comics.
Well, actually, come to think of it, if you look at the Illuminati's track record, for being filled with smart people, they make a lot of stupid decisions that cause a lot of grief for the comics.
Just because they're super intelligent doesn't mean they're super wise.
Exactly. And another thing too we should point out is that while America and Strange are having their multiverse adventures, Wong and the survivors of Karmitage are kept at Wanda's hostages, and when they end up thinking the only call to make is to destroy the book and stop her way of getting to them, which results in one of the first of many horrific on-screen deaths. We find out from the Sorcerer Supreme that the book was just a copy, that the actual spells of the Darkhold were actually copies from Mount Wundagore, where this great shrine to the Scarlet Witch was built.
Made by Cthon, of all people, and he scribes on the walls, and those scribes are what make the Darkhold.
Yeah.
So, the second viewing, this actually kind of helped alleviate things, because Cthulhu is a big deal with the Scarlet Witch mythos in the comics, and to know that this demonic entity of sorts is literally scribed on this ethereal mountain. It's a mountain that not even sorcerers can go to without interference. Even Wong trying to use his magic spear leads to him falling off the mountain with no catch to it.
So and she even realizes that it's not some type of ancient root when it's actually a throne. It's a shrine enshrined to her that it says from there the Scarlet Witch ruled the multiverse. But she again reveals she doesn't want to rule it all. She just only wants her kids back, and that shows you there's still the Wanda that we know, because if they wanted to go full tilt, I'm evil, they could have had her be I could have it all right here, but.
But to be fair, the Scarlet Witch is either meant to either rule the multiverse or destroy it, and her decisions. Obviously, the easiest thing is okay, so if she just wants to go to another universe to replace the different Wanda, why doesn't she just force the girl to just force America Chavez to open up a portal to one of these universes and then go through there? And then she starts inciting that what if they get sick, a certain sickness that can't be cured, but then another universe cure exists.
She wants to be able to travel freely, at least.
So she makes excuses that like, oh, I don't want to just stop at one world. I want to get to all of them. And you start to feel like she's unequivocally, without consciously thinking, she's falling into the moniker of what the Scarlet Witch is all about. It's either she'll rule it or she'll just cause damage just because she just wants to have kids.
But yeah, but that is one criticism that has really gotten out of hand, with people saying, "Oh well, just because she can't make kids, rather than trying to make new ones, she wants to go for someone else." Like, guys, you can always buy another goldfish, but it's not gonna be the same goldfish that you have.
Like even Mark from Moon Knight makes like a big point of it, or is it Steven? I'm still confused.
Steven. But yeah, I don't know, but I guess there's it really made another personal friend, feel mortified that, she hadn't even seen the movie, but the fact that people are saying, she's doing this much for fake kids and blah, 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 made her feel bad for her story writing endeavors. But anyway, Strange.
But she goes to this mountain, and her probably being there and being worshipped by these like monsters, which I don't know. When I first saw it, it's like these kind of almost look like man things a little bit. Am I the only one that has used that?
Man things meets Decepticons, if you ask me, like the wild raw Decepticons.
Right.
Or those demons from.
Like, literally, she's literally sitting in the precipice of like the Darkhold pages.
So what's funny? So like we mentioned, Steven is captured by Baron for his things. He meets Christine, and we find out that he wants to see the Illuminati, these like I said, the greatest minds of that A31 universe, A38 universe, and we get to meet the members. Baron Mordo is the first member we meet, but we also get to meet Black Bolt, leader of the Inhumans, Captain Carter. What was her title?
She's the first Avenger.
And then there was also Reed Richards played.
Well, there's Captain Marvel, but kind of up in the air if it's Monica or if it's
Maria.
The first one.
It's Maria Rambeau. Yeah, so but basically, what if instead of Carol doing the test flight, it was her best friend Maria? Because in the comics, Maria Rambeau did become the first woman to gain the Captain Marvel moniker from Captain Marvel. So
right down to having a really wild afro.
Yep. So I wonder if we know that Wanda's tangled with a Rambeau before with Monica being the one that breached her pristine Wonderworld to try to find Wanda and everything. And actually vouched for her. In fact, she was mostly on Monica was mostly on Wanda's side, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, she's bad news. Are you kidding me? No, something doesn't add up here." But that's her daughter. This is the mom. The mom is Captain Marvel, who's one of the strongest beings in the galaxy. And then we meet Reed Richards, played by John Krasinski, who was a fan casting, and my theater went nuts when they saw his beard. They're like, "Oh my God!" I thought when they were going to bring in Reed Richards, they were going to bring in like Ian Gufford from the Tim Story Fantastic Fours, or even Miles Teller.
Yeah. While we're at it, why don't we also add in like other hopeful things that a lot of people had preconceptions of when they heard it. Oh, we're gonna have Multiverse Madness, and there's gonna be a whole bunch of cameos, and this is fresh off of No Way Home, where we got to see like 2 alternate Spider-Man that were from different movie franchises.
So people were hoping for like we were hoping to see like Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider, or Emily Blunt as Natasha Romanoff, because remember she was supposed to be her before pregnancy got her off, and Scarlett Johansson got the role, or
Tom Cruise as fucking Iron Man.
He was too busy. He was filming Top Gun and Mission Impossible 7 and 8 at the same time. So even if they did write him in, he was way too busy to even do a high buy. Too busy actually flying jets. Next thing you know, he's actually going to fly a real rocket into space himself.
Although we should also mention that there was one more big franchise return that probably got a lot of people excited to see.
It would have been more bigger if they didn't put it in the trailer. We should tell him the truth. And who rolls in but Professor X in the big ass yellow chair, played by Patrick Stewart again.
So,
but yeah, like I said though, that was
so the Illuminati was a moment where like I was at my peak happiness the first time I watched it, to see all these faces, all these multiverses things, like even like someone from the UQ, which was just like Marvel's like biggest flop ever, titling with Iron Fist for Netflix.
Well, to be fair, Kevin Feige had no say with that Inhuman show. That was actually Ike Perlmutter, who was an a-hole who ran the TV division of Marvel Comics and the Marvel shows and everything like that. And he, when they couldn't get their rights to X-Men or whatever, to stick it to them, they wanted to make X-Men, Inhumans their new X-Men. So they were pushing them hard. And so they made that one show, and they actually got the guy who played Black Bolt in that one to play the Black Bolt in this one with an accurate costume and everything, to tuning fork and everything. And if you know Black Bolt's history as an Inhuman, his voice is so strong that a whisper can level a city if he's not careful. So he chooses.
I do feel kind of proud for the second time viewing where we see a flashback of him having to deal with the 838's Doctor Strange, because Josie will explain in a minute, but I had a forethought to go, okay, time to cover my ears, because they definitely give you a sensation of what it actually feels like to hear his voice play out. It is high pitched. Like it starts off at first and it's like, oh, I can handle this. Oh my god, why are my eardrums splitting?
And like I said, this guy, reduced a man to atoms with his voice. Like, come on. But that's actually
a mere whisper.
Yeah, so he's we find out from Professor X doing a throwback to like the old 80s and stuff. Like he had like shimmering blue waves and everything when he says, I'll show him, and he touches his temple, and then we get like a comic book panel style of him showing Strange a flashback of when their Strange helped kill Thanos, but he knew that he would cause an incursion with that book, so he told him basically, yeah, just end me before I get any worse. But they made up a lie. They made up a lie saying, yeah, our Strange died being the final guy to help stop Thanos, but they said, no, we did it because he asked us to, because he already killed another multiverse. He told us things got out of hand. So we find out that they think 616 Strange is a threat because 838 Strange, really messed up. And they're thinking that, well, if one Strange does it, all Strangers can pretty much, have the potential to cause problems. So they're thinking, yeah, you're our biggest problem here. Even Strange is saying, guys, listen, we're being followed by, Scarlet Witch, and they even tell him, oh yeah, we heard about your little witch. It's no consequence. Like,
So, yeah, we have to address this. So, this is kind of the point in the first viewing of the movie where it all went downhill for me, and I initially despised it.
Oh yeah, so
to a brutal length.
So Wanda Dream walks into the mother again, and decides to visit the Illuminati to go for America Chavez, and the Illuminati see that she's destroying the Ultrabots and thought, oh, we can handle this. They just say, because they're in the middle of judging Strange, saying, we might execute you or not, but it depends on our judgment. And everybody's pretty much saying, yeah, let's do it, except for X. X's vote is we give him a chance. But Mordo's thinking,
just because someone loses their way doesn't mean they're lost forever.
I giddied like when that happened. I think I was the only idiot who made an audible sound when that happened. No one else did anything.
I know I did it when I first saw it.
But the thing is that so they make a stand to Wanda, And they try to reason with
Yeah.
their, in the stupidest of manners, with that aloofness, because the Illuminati knows best. That they're kind of like the futurist. The futurist is here. They know all. They know what's good for you, and they don't regard her as a threat, which was a mistake.
Tell me, d- does your children still have their mother?
Yes, good.
Then there'll still be someone taking care of them when you're dead.
And he decided to make the biggest. Here's more examples of Reed Richards, the dumbest smart guy in any of Marvel continuity. Because if you look in the comics, you look in some of the movies, a lot of decisions.
That Reed Richards makes, because someone with such a high IQ, he doesn't really. It's like Ian Malcolm say, yeah, your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think they should.
So he decided to give away their hand by saying, "Yeah, my friend over here could destroy you with a single whisper from his mouth." So, like, basically saying how to take us out. Like, basically saying, "Oh, this is the guy with the big gun," and she's thinking, "Yeah, okay, you gave me my first threat to take out." So she does. What good is a phone call, Mr. Anderson, if you don't even speak? And oh man, and I thought, okay, this is gonna get intense. I didn't think much of it, so I thought, okay, I think we're gonna get like a rising build-up, and we're gonna cut away, and oh my god, I'm seeing the red. Black Bolt's own scream blows up his own head, and they don't cut away. This is like,
and then literally 3 seconds later, Mr. Fantastic tries to pull a punch on Wanda, and she just unfurls him like a fucking Twizzler.
oh yeah. And
it's not like, oh, but like we kind of see that in Infinity War with Mantis. So I'm sure it'd be fine. No, there's like a red mist at the end. That's gray matter just splattering out.
yeah, transmutation, like on command, like she did in WandaVision. But so they decide, yeah, let's go ahead and fight her. And what's funny is that Mordo is still saying, they'll come back. We still got to do the decision. Even Strange is all, you got to realize that
your friends are fucking dying out there, man.
So we're really going to do this? And he goes, okay, well, since I'm the ranking member, I decide, yeah, I'm gonna judge you. My judgment is death. And then Strange decides to do that cleverness of his, where he decides to break free by having Mordo, attack in anger.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably no question that you're more than happy to have me executed. Hell, I'm pretty sure you could have given that other me that dark hold in the first place.
Yeah, you probably were happy that I was corrupted, so you can rub it. He was just like egging him on. In the meantime, like it says, the only two putting up a fight is Captain Marvel and Captain Carter, and I'll cut right to the chase. Captain Marvel does the Steve thing. I could do this all day, and well, Wanda just throws the shield back and bisects her, Darth Maul style, like in a way that's undescribable. Like, oops. And that's
right down to seeing this blood on the shield.
And that's
okay. So
he was not a happy camper because Captain Carter was his favorite episode. And what if?
That's unselling it. So I am a fan of like alternate versions of things. Like one of my favorites is Spider-Gwen. Like Gwen Stacy. What if Gwen Stacy became the Spider-Woman? And to absolutely no one's surprise, she became a big fan favorite too. The same story happened with Captain Carter being the debut of this what if, the idea of seeing these like MCU characters getting like alternate takes or alternate chances at certain things. Yes, even What If does delve into seeing our favorite heroes getting bisected or killed, and
Hulk blows up for crying out. Hulk blows up for crying out loud.
But so you have to understand, when Captain Carter debuted, she's gained quite a fan base, and a lot. Also helped that Haley Atwell did reprise as Peggy Carter to play that, and getting to see like this Peggy actually cut loose as like this first adventure, and seeing how upbeat and like as personality, it just kind of daunts you like, what if we actually got to see her in live action?
Well,
And there are even fan petitions pushing to be like, hey, could Haley Atwell get to be like the uh, Captain Carter in a live action project? Maybe like a spin-off, like a live spin-off in Disney Plus or something. And lo and behold, they finally give us what everyone wants to see in the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and then they just carve her off with like hot butter, like hot knife through butter.
but she didn't really have that same personality as the Carter we saw in What If. That was very, really endearing. She had this kind of coldness to her that probably comes from being in the Illuminati. And like I says, even Wanda gave her a chance to walk away, but she had to do the whole "I can do this all day" thing. And well, Wanda's like, okay, I had enough of this. Although, like we says, I heard of the initial.
But did she have? But she did have. Did she have to dissect like a variant? That she is aware that this is a variant of like what if Captain America became someone else, and it's really insulting and disturbing to know that like Wanda like sees like Captain America variant as like an obstacle when literally the only person that was like leading the charge to help give her a chance to have her own say in the matter, like Steve Rogers, Captain America, who he himself was probably affected by losing Peggy Carter. The very woman that she is fighting here is just.
But she probably knows
like,
that's.
What if Steve actually like
that was.
heard about
But
this?
that was.
What was his reaction?
That was not his peg, though. She would say, that's not her vision. The white vision that strangled her.
Well, then here's my response to that. Those aren't your fucking children.
Which she finds out at the end, remember. But like I said, I think you're taking this way too personally for someone that only appeared for one episode in a little 30-minute show that is very popular, yes.
2 episodes, but who the fuck is counting, I guess.
Oh, yeah. It would have been a 3rd episode if they allowed to keep their budget, but, like I said, they had to move along. I don't know what was that.
No, she's coming back in season 2. They even announced that. Don't even worry about that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure.
And they're also just starting out a comic line for her too, almost like the same thing like happened with Gwen Stacy's Spider-Girl.
Although technically she should be Captain Britain on the label and not Captain Carter, but because that's more marketable, it's Captain Carter. And there is another Captain Britain, but he has a different name. But like I says, this wasn't a Doctor Strange movie co-starring all these guys.
The reason that it bothers me so much is it's almost okay. So switching off, we're gonna go from Marvel to Star Wars for a bit. I know it's a shock. The Ramley Bros going off to talk about Star Wars, but it reminded me exactly of when Mandalorian season 2 was going on. There was this campaign being pushed by Hasbro Plus that said, "Hey, we're making this a Black Series, a Razor Crest playset for the toys action figures." There were people that were pushing and pushing for it, and the last second they managed to get the goal. The day after, the tragedy premiered on Disney Plus, and what do you think happened to that ship that everyone was pining for?
It blew up.
Blown the fuck up. It's just like it's that very same like almost kind of like saying quick middle finger flip off to the fan base.
Like I was watching an AVP movie that featured Dutch and Ripley showing up, and Ripley ends up getting a Predator disc to the neck. I would be a little but I wouldn't walk out of the movie for that. I don't know. I guess my tolerance is different. I'm not sure. I'm the kind of guy who was okay with the Predalien doing what it did in that maternity ward.
It's just you're definitely not going to see me ever like watch this screen for those brief 20 seconds.
Dude, you can't even watch the dusting again without getting like, oh, I can't. How many times do I have to go through this?
No, I at least can watch the dusting knowing that there's actually going to be a payoff to it.
Oh yeah.
Well,
all this going on, and we neglect to mention that the strongest Avenger, Captain Marvel, ends up getting defeated by a rock falling on her. It wasn't some overcharge. It wasn't some grand impalement. No. we'll just drop the house on you. I'm surprised there
And
wasn't.
who wants to bet there are a lot of people saying, "Man, I wish that could have been Brie Larson right there."
I'm pretty sure, actually. I, anyway, I wonder if it crossed Wanda's mind that this Captain Marvel had anything to do with the photon lady she was butting heads with in WandaVision, because she kept giving her the whole "get out of my home" thing the entire time.
Oh yeah, what do you think Monica's reaction would have been like? Hey Monica, yeah, I ran into like your mother once. She was from a different universe. Hell, she even got this powers that your friend Carol Danvers got. So anyway, I just like slammed her like a fucking pancake with a rock. She would have gotten like her head clean punched off by Monica.
But yeah, the thing is, I'm just laughing, going, you have all these elaborate death scenes with the other Illuminati, and Captain Marvel for some reason just just gets buried. I'm thinking you couldn't have done like a cool overcharge, or even like a, you know, I don't know, anything better than just. I mean, it's not as dumb as the way Nightwing died in the comics to Injustice, where I still stand to this day. I laugh, and it's just so stupid when I saw it happen. Where he gets hit in the head by a baton by Damien, and who's telling him orders. He says, "Stop ordering me around." He throws his baton in a tantrum style. It hits Nightwing. He kind of dozes. He falls back, and there was no rock there before. But the next panel shows a perfectly placed rock that, cracks his neck when he lands.
You know what's the bet that was actually secretly Reverse Flash?
Oh, that actually has a nice dimension, but in the book itself, it looked so stupid. And Batman's reaction, that Injustice comic is great, but that moment, me and my friends still debate it. That's probably what it. Because I got let down when I heard that Damian said Batman that Superman was more of a father than he ever was. So you stopped being my son when you killed Dick Grayson. He was my real son. And I'm like, ooh, what happened there? And I find out a rock. They dropped him on a rock. Anyway, the Illuminati gets dispatched.
But it's just, so just want to actually refocus and still try to explain why the Captain Carter thing bothers me. It's like it's a thing that comes from a cartoon, and like let's be real. Like I'm sure a lot of MCU fans weren't really going to give the what if thing like a shot. They thought it's like, oh, that's just a nice distraction. But when it's like the season 2 Loki gonna drop, and seeing her getting like a live action portrayal by the same actress, and then just get unceremoniously capped off. Imagine, if you will, if season 2 of Mandalorian, The Jedi, had Rosario Dawson appear as Ahsoka Tano, and then only the moment she walks into the shrine at the end, she immediately gets the bolt to the back.
Oh, I would have bought it more if she was bisected by Moff Gideon or Dark Troopers at least. I mean, it's not like a random Ultron drone Captain Carter.
Yes, but it's like, I'm just trying to emphasize a big thing to adapt bring like something that came from a cartoon that no one like wants to give two shits about to like the big boy party, the thing that everyone seems to only care about, and it's kind of just given like a swift backhand, like as if it's like a perfect Cell doing to like Super Vegeta, like Dragon Ball Z, as soon as he powers up, like bitch, please.
But I mean, like I said though, it was just to show you just how off the wall this quest is making her. I mean, it's no different than. Anyway, I think we've been on this.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, she didn't even give that much arrogance or like jerk offish behavior. She's like just.
But here, okay.
Oh, so it's what? It's like just being a part of the Illuminati immediately means that she's not as like perfect as you would want to imagine her to be.
Well, it's just the idea that the Illuminati and most of the comic versions tend to make decisions on behalf of everyone. Hell, Black Panther was invited to join the Illuminati, but he thought, I don't like this unilateral control idea, so he wisely backed off. And in the end, the Illuminati disbanded when they realized, yeah, we caused more harm than good with our actions. I mean, it's no surprise that Tony Stark was one of the founding
So,
members.
are we going to say it that this Patrick Stewart Xavier is like just as much as in wrong? Oh shit! I keep forgetting that Last Stand was a thing. Never mind. Keep going on. Oh yeah, that's a thing. Xavier also tries to fight Wanda, but
And
he gets this next snap.
how many times?
Upon retrospect, I'm pretty sure he's fine. He's probably just gone off to find another comatose volunteer body to inhabit and reshape it.
Actually, I almost wanted to make this joke of, you know, that famous meme from SpongeBob where that guy says, "How many times we have to teach you this lesson, old man?" and have the picture be of Sophie Turner's Jean Grey. Well, she didn't really kill him, but still. No, Famke Janssen, and point is, have everybody who's ever killed him in the movies show up again, because this is like what, the third or fourth time he's died on screen. No, let's see. There was Last Stand, then there was his death in Logan, and then there was his. Well, he didn't quite die in Future Past, but he was about to. The point is that in the comics, it's a running gag almost how often Charles ends up kicking off this mortal coil, only to be back in, well, not quite walking, but, you know. But you gotta admit, he at least gave it the good college try. He stood between, he wanted to buy time for America and Christine to you know.
Strange.
Oh, by the way, I love that Christine says she works for the Baxter Foundation, which is a big deal in Fantastic Four and everything. So I'm like, ooh, that made me giddy. The point is, though, is that he likes to do his old mental battle thing, and we get a little WandaVision nod with the broken sitcom TV, and that universe's Wanda is like buried under rubble, and he explains how, you know, this is you know, you're being held hostage by your alternate self, and she ends up overpowering him in the mist and does one of the jump scare kills where she shows up as like a, you know, gnarled husk of herself and just gives Charles such.
Although upon retrospect, that could actually be like the one chapter of the Rebel could be our Wanda, and the other entity is the Scarlet Witch persona.
The point is,
Think about it.
You gotta admit though, I knew something was gonna happen when he was like covered in red mist, and even he was anticipating. He's like, "Oh crap, here it comes," and then like people in our audience actually went like, like they jumped like, oh, because they didn't expect her to come out like that, looking like that. And this is where Sam really got to have fun. Now, after all that moment, this leads to one of probably the most amusing and Sam Raimi chases I have ever seen, where they're like running through all these blast doors, and Wanda's like slouching forward, you know, bleeding feet and everything. She's almost like a not even a human no more. She's like this ghoul or vampire or something.
I see a lot of people comparing her like forceful chase there to be like the booted T-800 from the Terminator.
Oh, exactly. I was all for that. And because the idea is that there is a book called the Book of Ashanti that America was trying to reach a defender
Or as I like to call it, the book of very nicey goody good gumdrop shoes.
And they find
basically it's another MacGuffin that just goes nowhere.
Yeah, because Professor X said that their Strange left a waypoint to find the Book of Ashanti, because he's giving him a chance, even though Mordo and everyone said, "You really want to let him go? He could screw up our universe." Well, I do like that after that brief fight.
Well, Xavier did peer into his head with like, "Oh, he's actually doing all this just to help this girl." Okay.
Yeah, but what's funny is after the fight with Baron Mordo, I like when Baron says, "You know, I'm sorry to see why my other universe self doesn't like you." But anyway, I'm sure Derek's like, "Yay!" So that Mordo stuff went nowhere.
Yep.
Anyway, so they do find the book, but you know, Wanda ends up ends up causing it to.
Which it makes you wonder. It's like, is that book even really powerful? Because they say it's like, oh, it's in the hands of someone. give them like the power that they need.
I
It's
think.
like with literally at Doctor Strange's hands, they're seeing to do Jack's diddly squat.
Well, I think it was more. I think America's power is sourced from the Book of Ashanti, because they have a very similar, ethereal glow and everything. But anyway, yeah, that whole Illuminati act onward is full.
So what you're suggesting is she's a multiverse variant of the Book of Ashanti. A
Possibly,
living Book of Ashanti, if you will.
possibly.
I guess it makes sense. It is kind of hard for books to dream.
That she said there's no, because she said that she never dream walks because, well, she never has dreams. Oh shit! That I just thought of that on the spot, dude. But anyway, what's great about everything afterwards when Wanda goes full tilt, crazy, is it's so Sam Raimi. You get like those dramatic camera zooms. You get like the switch. I mean, it's just, it's just pure Sam goodness in that moment. And in the end, she does.
And as like time progresses, her costume is growing more and more black. Which she, at this point, like even like her eyes, you're starting to see getting like dark insights.
But yeah, she's looking less human too as it goes on. So she does get America, and then Strange and Christine get stuck in that incursion universe that they mentioned. That everything.
Which leads us to find a different evil magic being holding a dark hold, and it would be Stephen Strange himself.
Things just got out of hand. But what's funny is I giggled because as they're walking through the collided New York, you can see an Oldsmobile.
Yeah, and I even pointed over to say, there's Sam's car again.
But we find out that this Strange did what he thought was best, but he always wondered. He's the one that asked Steven the real question: "Are you happy doing what?" And he never thought about it, but he has this Christine with him. It's not his Christine, but he thinks maybe he can make it work somewhere. So this Strange says, "I'll give you the dark hold so you can find a way back home, but you got to give me your Christine." He's like, "Yeah, that's not gonna fly."
No, didn't think so.
But I love this is like
he also mentions that he also too was dream walking to try to find other like chances to be with Christine. When he finds in those universes that didn't work out, he decided to put those Stephen Strange's out of misery. You ever have one of those dreams where you're falling and it feels like you've just been pushed off somewhere? That was probably me.
And like I said, we mentioned this before, but we get one of the most fun fights ever where they turn music notes into
runes.
It's just
they're supposed to be runes, is what they are.
It's just I'm having so much fun with that. Hell, like for example.
I guess it kind of makes sense because they're both this Strange, and they would like think to do something ridiculous to offset the others. Like, oh yeah, you think you got that going on? I could do the same thing too.
And I love how
like, okay, who can outmatch music by the other? Like that's your defense of why like something so ridiculous like that could actually be plausible. It's like, look, let's just face facts. The Stephen Strange just does like weird shit just to try to one up something.
But yeah, in the end, he prevails. And well, by the way, not only did we see Sinister Strange, we also saw that he has that freaky third eye.
Third eye.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, in the end, he prevails and ends up getting thrown out the building into a pit of spikes, and gives Christine a little scare with his third eye. But yeah, what's funny is that Wanda does have a chance, but even friggin' Wong and everyone said you really want to do this at the cost of one's life or whatever. But Wanda's like too far gone at this point. And but the thing is, I know she just did a lot of crazy shit and stuff, but I like that when she gets America, she does break her hold on that multiverse Wanda. She kind of has a look of like, yeah, where the hell was she? Because she was still in the Book of Ashanti realm.
It also kind of like threw me through a loop that oh wait, this one that has powers is like, oh well, the multiverse doesn't mean like that they don't have similar feats like the others.
For all we know, since Charles is a thing in this thing, maybe she's actually a mutant version of herself.
I also didn't like come to me until realizing that there is no Vision in that universe because, well, that Vision was all those Ultrons around there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the universe where Ultron actually worked out.
So there's no need for a Vision. But yeah, that's another thing people kept saying. Why does
it does make you wonder who is the father of that universe? What's the deal?
But she does always ask. People ask, well, why didn't you just find another Viz in another universe? Well, we saw other Vizes in another universe. They either die, like the one in What If Zombies, or they end up actually being Ultron when he, actually worked out. But like he got his body. And the last Vision she saw was the White Vision that tried to kill her. And the people said, well, he's still out there, he can come in. But like I said, the last time she saw him, he had his hand on her throat. I don't think she'd be too keen to see him, even if he explains, oh, wait, I got my memories back. But the one that she fell in love with...
Does that really what happens? Like, he's got memories, but, like, it doesn't have the feelings connected with that.
So, yeah, even if White Vision did come into play, I don't think he'd be able to talk her down the ledge, because that's not the Viz that she married. The Viz that she married was a construct from her own mind. But
so yeah. Anyways, we're at this climax, and this is where things definitely go off into
full Sam Raimi territory.
Sam Raimi cult horniness.
Hell, he has a crazy idea. He has to dream walk back to 616, but they say that
well, you need like a variant yourself alive in that universe to walk into.
Who says they have to be alive?
Oh yeah, you remember that Defender Doctor Strange he brought up at the beginning? Yeah, so his dead body actually managed to get to 616 after America inadvertently opened that portal, which still they never explained why her like abilities like makes star shapes. It's kind of weird.
It's from the comics.
So, anyways, yeah, the body ended up being there. That was America's proof to show that she was from a different multiverse and that Doctor Strange's dream. What was real actually happened, and yeah, Doctor Strange decided to bury that away. It's you're breaking so many rules. That come on, it's not the first thing I buried.
But you gotta admit, when he comes back as Zombie Strange, as people dub him, he looks a lot like Ash did when he came back from Army of Darkness. I Live Again.
But then, of course, like not only is he dreamwalking, but he's also possessing. It's a little touch of necromancy there. And the Book of the Damned are not gonna sit well with that.
And this is also Sam Raimi, where you got all these demonic skeletons coming out and telling him he's doomed and damned and everything.
Oh my God! It's the fucking like Deadites from that god awful Hails of the King PlayStation game.
And by the way, this was straight up a Sam Raimi camera angle when he warned Christine that the souls of the damned will come for him, and some of them fly at her, and she's like holding it back, and you see a POV shot of it trying to like snarl at her, and it's totally like a Evil Dead POV.
We also see a POV of that when Wanda is going to possess her other variant self.
Mm-hmm. So, by the way, this was a callback to a Strange One I laughed for. They got like the gourd of something where even Caecilius pointed out, that, oh, you got that. You have no idea how to use that, do you? Well, Christine must.
No, but
must have.
So heavy.
Yeah, Christine must have learned from her Strange how to properly use it because she uses it to like shoot freaking fireballs at the spirits.
And of course, she insists on that power of love, holding his hand, and he literally manages to pull the souls of the damned to be his means of transport to Wondergore.
And this is like the most metal image in Marvel history, MCU history that he.
Well, up until we see what they're gonna do with Thor: Love and Thunder.
But so far, this is like hardcore, album cover of Zombie Strange with like the souls of the damned turning into a cloak for him.
I definitely see that either as being an Iron Maiden, a Megadeth, or a the
Black Sabbath, maybe.
No, I was gonna say Meatball.
Oh.
Name, rest in peace.
Oh yeah. You know what's funny though? The biggest laugh in our theater was when Wong finally comes back after being thrown and kills a demon, but he sees Strange in his decayed state and goes.
Meatloaf. I meant Meatloaf. God, Meatball. That's
But I love when he's all, I don't even want to know. But I love when
But to be fair, we are on the cusp of like a whole total multiverse implosion. So it's like, oh, you're possessing a dead body. That's fine. Whatever. Let's just do it.
I love.
But to be fair, he decided to go with the flow wherever we were kind of messing with the flow of time in the first movie.
Ever? Sorry, I know I go against the laws of nature. But keep doing it.
Don't stop now.
I laugh so hard, but well, I love when he tells Wanda, "This time is gonna, you're gonna have to do more than killing me to kill me." I think he said.
This time it's gonna take more than killing me to kill me.
Oh yeah, but I love
hypocrite.
She calls him a hypocrite for dreamwalking, and he admits, I know. So Strange, even though he's a zombie, he can't really do much. So he ends up giving a pep speak to America that she's always had to control.
Oh no, he also literally says the soul of the damned after Wanda, but even those things are not even enough to contain the Scarlet Witch. So even Wanda decides to say, "Okay, that's it. We're running out of options. You have to take America's power. She cannot have the." But even America thinks oh, this is it. This is how I go out. I guess it makes sense. I just can't live. I guess I have no control of this power, so it's gotta be you.
But Steve decides to surprise them by saying, "No, I'm not gonna kill you. You had the power all along, man." And
I found it in a Cracker Jack box. The power's in you, Lone Star. It's in you.
How many times has the MCU made you break out that Cracker box, Jack box joke?
Well, maybe if they stop giving me useless MacGuffins that go nowhere, maybe I'll stop.
Well, let's see, because it happened in Thor with Mjolnir. We laughed so hard when we were doing our talk about Ragnarok, and he said the same joke too when Odin admits him. Odin pretty much said, "I found it in a Cracker Jack."
You, Thor, God of Thunders, God of Hammers.
I found it in a Cracker Jack box. But yeah,
To be fair, that Prize is gonna play a bigger role in Love and Thunder again. I seem to be more excited for that movie than I was with this. It's kind of weird, but I don't know what you gonna do.
Well, I don't think we're going to see too much butchering unless Gore the God Butcher lives up to his name. Russell Crowe, you're gonna die worse than you did in Man of Steel, I imagine. But
So yeah, we do get a nice pretty awesome rad moment where America just literally decks Wanda in the face, literally seeing stars in her eyes.
But
then she gives the T-1000
and she just has to give her what she wants. And here's a moment we probably saw coming, but yeah, where she does show up to the boys in her true self, but they're freaking out because she looks like a monster. I mean, Darkholm
Doesn't help that they're literally watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and she probably looks
like the old
like
Queen
the
Witch,
fucking Dark Queen.
and hell, even she kind of figured that she was in the wrong when she was basically shouting at them and they were scared, and she saw the fear. She kept reassuring them, "I'm not a monster. I'm not." But even she's having a hard time believing that. That's why she just breaks down.
I swear, I never hurt anyone. Oh, oh.
I think the weight of everything she just did, came back rushing at that moment, and she just broke down. And
So quick aside, Elizabeth also did say that the hardest thing she did was like having to scream at boys, but then she got like decked in her face. What you see in the film is literally her like screaming out at them.
oh, when they're throwing stuff at her.
Yep.
Oh.
And what something hit her in the face, and she just like really reacted in a big way.
Well, it worked, and it's established that this Wanda does have power, so she could have like obliterated 616 Wanda, but she actually took pity on her rather than see her like, you use my body to do horrible things. You try to take my boys, but she probably saw where she was coming from and didn't seem to judge her. She just gave her a promise. Know that they will be.
Probably also like going back to the whole like dreams are windows to another reality. She probably like had a weird moment of like, so boys, I had this really weird dream where I was apparently reenacting a sitcom, and you were there. But then I had to lose you.
So I think that's.
And, I imagine the boys going up to her to give her a hug.
So I think that's why she didn't condemn the Scarlet Witch, but she took pity on her and gave him the promise of, hey, at least they will be loved.
No, that they'll be loved.
And that's a big deal that we thought, oh, well, hell, like, when she was almost going to be banished into the hellscape, my buddy next door to me was saying, come on, do it, punch her in. And then that's when the whole happens, and she has to give her what she wants. And, well...
Although that lava place, once again, it looks like the currently credence that is Mustafar from Star Wars.
Oh, telling Darth Vader, she's your problem now. But, this is when she has her see the light moment after, the multiverse closes and she's alone again. But, she knows what she wants.
And you notice that the colors of the costume are starting to return, so that's showing her corruption is, like, waning away.
But she decides, no, this place is too evil to exist, so I'm gonna just, bring it down, along with me.
Sure.
But, I mean...
I'm just saying that's a pretty big audible red poof of cloud there to appear from that crumbling. It would have made sense if the whole structure crumbled and we didn't see that red mist, but we did, so it's like Kevin Feige once again going like, I'll just see this here. Might look into opening something else here.
Well, yeah, that's old Kevin, but it is very similar to, another arc in another Sam Raimi film where somebody realizes how they screwed up, and to atone for it, they will destroy the object of their affection and, go down with it, so to speak.
I will not die a monster.
Exactly, so...
thankfully now that with the help of No Way Home, he doesn't have to go through all of that nonsense.
Yay. But,
although he probably will still be stuck with the arms, but it would make kind of sitting in chairs a little bit uncomfortable.
But the yeah, so America is now going to be staying at Carmitage to learn to hone her abilities. Strange finally bows to Wong, acknowledging the Sorcerer Supreme. But here's the biggest thing.
Yeah, Strange even fixes the we kind of forgot to mention this, but like in the beginning of A38, wherever they're like going through, apparently it's like a semi-futuristic place where we can also replay memories for like a demonstration before we actually pay for them. we actually finally get to see not only the backstory of America Chavez, and Austin still managed to put in the fact that her family origin is from two mothers, so that's like LGBT win in like small ways.
She has
not
the
big, but it's still
she has the
pretty...
LGBTQ pin on her jacket the whole movie.
Yeah, but she also has to be. She's also a lesbian, like
Yes.
America Chavez.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't allude to that. At least not yet. Maybe when like later on when she gets spin off.
I wonder who her girlfriend is in the comics. Let me see.
But while he looks, we also see a backstory of. You remember that book we watched that Strange would never part with you, and after getting mugged, in his search for Kamatara's? Yeah, that was indeed a gift from Christine when they were like a thing together. But despite their relationship not working out, it's apparently like so important that he like cherished it. At him fixing the original glass window a bit, I probably acknowledges him to like move on and say, as long as Christine's happy, I'm happy. And then, of course, we have a little Sam Raimi ending where he is screaming in agony and realizing that, the Darkhold, while it's like gone from across the multiverse because it wanted to destroy the original copy, it's still left a mark on him. The very visible third eye.
He also made amends with that universe's Christine too before leaving. But yeah. Oh man, but shit. So that is a very Sam Raimi ending of like the thing at the end, jumping at Ash or I overslept. It is a very Sam Raimi ending, like in his horror movies. But of course we get a after credit sequence that I'm pretty sure you could hear all the phones in America going off to say, "Who the hell is that?" for the people who aren't hardcore people.
Well, first of all, that's clearly Charlize Theron there. It's like no way. It's not hard to mistake who she is.
But what character is she? She's actually Clea, the niece,
the new Sorcerer Supreme after Doctor Strange bit the bucket in the comics.
But she was. She was.
Really, I give it 6 months.
She was an apprentice to Strange and ended up marrying him. She's also the niece of Dormammu. Hell,
yes, Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Yeah, when she opened up the gate to her, say, "We need you in the Dark Realm," you see that little bacteria cancer land again, and he says, "Oh, I kind of have expertise on the thing. Let's do this." And he shows his third eye and everything, but it's like her Charlize Theron's costume is comic accurate for crying out loud. And she looks
again. It seems like MCU is doing a pretty spiffy job of pulling that off.
And the other after credit sequence is a little gag, but it's a Sam Raimi gag where, because earlier when Papa Pizza got mad at America for stealing the pizza ball, Steven started like getting him to hit himself up. And how long will that last? Yeah, we're off in a couple of weeks. He was still beating himself up.
As long as you don't think too hard about it, it's like, do you have time to go to the bathroom or eat or sleep? Did the hand just manage to give you a break every once in a while?
I don't know, but yeah.
It's essentially just kind of like you actually sat through the whole thing? Oh, tough shit, you wasted your time, sucker.
I didn't see it that way. I just saw it as a cute little.
Well, to be fair, I felt like that after like the first initial viewing, where I'm a little bit stewing over the fact that they did all this, and like I was expecting like an actual like comic book villain to show up, saying it was actually I that set the domino effect.
But yeah, patience. It's very important, unless you're wondering, why you wasted all that time and everything. How many more of these are there? But yeah, Bruce Campbell stops slapping himself and yells out, "It's finally over." Basically a version of, "What are you doing? The movie's over. Go home."
Oh, you're expecting an after cut scene. No, we don't have that kind of budget.
But well, oh, that was a cute. Well, there was a rumor that Deadpool had a small appearance in Multiverse at some point, but
Oh yes, that was another one, wasn't it?
well, there actually is a picture. So yeah, but I think they're wanting to really save Deadpool for his big grand debut in Deadpool 3 that is moving forward, by the way.
Whether you want it or not.
Mm-hmm. So,
But hey, to be fair, let's like it. R-rated or PG-13, at least we know that Ryan Reynolds will still be able to pull off that witty humor like he does in Free Guy.
well, yeah, Free Guy was a real boon for him lately. But yeah, so I know that near the end we got a little grumbly, but I mean, again, that was him on his first raw feelings, so I can imagine him being, you know, he was distraught. Mm-hmm. I should say, he wasn't the most funnest person to be around those few days when he was still stewing, trying to figure a way out of it, to reason it.
Oh, you're talking about me. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just again, there's like this inkling, this like, no, I know, I can't believe it's Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi did this. He's usually like not always bullseyes certain things, but like at least they're not like a waste of time. It doesn't feel like you just wasted a moment, but it's like there's at least some inkling going like, yeah, but there was like all this and this and this and that, like those were crazy. Those stand out. Like, but like it was just kind of so heartbroken over it. It just almost dawned on me. It's like, wait, is this exactly what like the Star Wars fanboys felt when they were like expected to see Luke be a badass in Last Jedi? Oh my god, what the hell am I actually getting myself into?
Yeah.
So again, I decided to at least give it a second chance, knowing what I was going in for, knowing to at least like pay attention a little bit more. Usually, first time is like, okay, I'm just literally at the ends of the movie, just like I had no control. I'm just get along for the ride. But it repeat viewings, I'm usually like at least have a little bit more wider range of paying attention to certain cues, certain like notions. Like again, as I pointed out, noticing that Wanda's costume is losing its color, or noting that like the Darkhold actually really is like actually rooted in from like a demon thing, and noting that like Wanda's like this is literally like dipping her toes in like witchcraft and not realizing that there's gonna be like a lot of consequences. It's almost like the Full Metal Alchemist, where like the Edward didn't really realize the scope of like the powers that be that he was gonna delve into. And that like everything has a cost. The bill comes later.
And so you're hoping that Mordo will make good on his promise one day, since they didn't officially axe him in this movie.
I mean, we do have the Agatha House of Harkness spin-off, and that's got at least something.
But I bet you're gonna tell Mordo if he doesn't do anything in the third movie and he's still around. You know what? You're a big softy. Admit it. You like Strange. But so Doctor Strange 3, where could that go? You think?
It's I actually don't know. I'm still kind of in the midst of like following where we're going with all these movies. I'm still trying to figure out how they're going to do that Black Panther sequel.
Yeah, that one has you really nervous.
It's like, is this even going to feel like a warranted movie to need?
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, we got Love and Thunder coming up. That looks like a lot of fun. In fact, Taika Waititi says Christian Bale is probably one of the best villains the MCU has ever gotten, and he was just blown away by his performance. He said,
Are you sure it's not him just repeating his rant to the filming of Terminator Salvation?
"Well, that'll scare anybody in the MCU." But dude, I just realized it'll be 10 years since Dark Knight Rises came out. So it'll have been 10 years since Christian Bale was in a super flick. He's coming back almost around the same time. Huh, how about that?
The 10 years today that another movie franchise said, like, dark and moody superhero movies are a thing of the past. That now everything's got to have humor in it.
Anyway, well, it's like Harvey Dent said. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And here's Christian Bale playing a villain, so...
Well, it's not like it's his first time.
Oh yeah, you're right. But someone made a joke. Gore the God Butcher better be taking out a pantheon while listening to Huey Lewis in the news. American Psycho joke.
Right.
Anyway, but we got Love and Thunder, we got Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, which you should. And we still have a lot of other projects on the pipeline. She-Hulk coming in Disney Plus eventually. I mean, Miss Marvel looks like a lot of fun. I mean, I think after all the blood and carnage of this movie, I think a little light-hearted humor is what we really need, right?
Yeah, it's exactly.
Oh, but speaking of carnage, I told him, you know that Book of Ashanti had like a chapel place, and the flaming mummy creature looked kind of like Carnage. He's like, oh, great, you had to remind me of another letdown of a hero movie. Like, it's funny how Wanda did more carnage than Carnage did when you think about it.
Yeah, but most of the body, half that body count is mostly robots. It's like...
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I like Olsen in this a lot. She really sells you on her understandable yet demented persona. And it's kind of funny that this movie came out on the week of Mother's Day, and the initials for it is DSMOM. So it's just funny to me. Biggest opening in the pandemic year, so Marvel movies are still going forward. But the real thing to watch for is what the drop will be like. And if this maintains its good word of mouth, I think it'll keep going, because there's a lot of people saying that it's nice that Sam Raimi got to be Sam Raimi in this movie. So, if you know what
it's... No, I get it. I understand. That's exactly why I decided to give it a chance to say, oh, goddamn, this is Sam Raimi. This is like one of my top favorite horror directors. Like, this is a horror property, and I realized the MCU has to be made of like movies that deal with different genres and all that. That's literally the way it lives and dies. Like, it's not the same movie over and over. It has to be something different. It has to be a kung fu movie with Shang-Chi. It has to be like a heist movie with Ant-Man. It has to be like
espionage movie with Winter Soldier.
Yes, it has to be like a grounded redemption like arc with the billionaire like coming to terms with the Iron Man.
It has to be a epic,
like an old war. It has to be an old war film with the first Avenger.
It has to be an epic going across eons, showing you how gods fall in love.
It has to be a coming of age story with the Spider-Man trilogy.
So yeah, it.
Oh well, actually, with the Spider-Man trilogy, also has to be a little bit of John Hughes.
So the fact that they let Sam Raimi do this, do you still hold by your statement that Sam probably shouldn't be near another MCU movie?
I'm just gonna say that the next time he's involved, the advertising marketing needs to be a little bit more on point.
Okay.
Like, okay, you're not coming here for a Marvel movie. You're coming here for a Sam Raimi movie. Just throwing it out there.
If his next project was a legacy sequel to Spider-Man 3, would you line up?
What do you mean by that?
Like, if they announced his next movie project is going back to the Sony universe and making a Spider-Man follow-up with Tobey, would you be all in?
Well, of course it'd be. It means I get to see more Toby. What the hell kind of question is that?
Just wondering. But I'm just glad I got to see this. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I definitely really. I think my favorite Phase 4 movie is still. Looking at what we got, and
All I know is my favorite's still No Way Home.
it'd probably have to be that one too. But I think I really liked Eternals. I loved Shang-Chi. Like, oh my god, that one really. That really got me.
Speaking of Eternals, maybe that one needs another go at, because I still thought that was kind of like a weak experience. But
You did?
again, preconception. Well, yeah, I also had preconceptions that that was like I was kind of expecting like it would have like a more like chronological timeline, but it's always felt like it was like flashbacks after flashbacks after flashbacks. It almost kind of did what Highlander Endgame did.
Well, I thought you were a little more miffed about the whole evil Superman trope that people were accusing Icarus of being.
Well, that was that too, but it was also kind of like how it just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like, you know, like other movies, like didn't have to rely on this one in the MCU.
Well, Druig has one of the best scenes with that Aztec Mayan conquistador scene. And Fastos has another great scene too, where he's reacting to Hiroshima. So I'm in love with that movie. Anyway, so well, that was just our ramble on Doctor Strange. You can see that Neon had a lot to say about it, but in the end, I think we both can say this is definitely one you can see. But if you have little kids, you might want to.
No, if you have kids, do not take them to this. They're just saying this is probably more gonna. Okay, this is like you've got like 20 plus movies else to watch. You don't have to see this.
Yeah, like maybe when they're like 12, maybe.
I'd at least say 14 at the very least, but it's like that notion too is like make me wonder, it's like how successful is this going to be? Because like even people who like this movie are going to be like saying, no, for God's sakes, don't take your kids to see this. This is not going to be helpful for them.
Oh yeah, they're not gonna want to see Black Bolt's head explode.
Or like blood running down a shield like liquid butter.
Or skeletons out of hell crawling.
Or freaking or like freaking demons like spilling out, or like an evil Doctor Strange be like gutted on a spike.
Or seeing like, a zombie Scarlet.
A freaking huge eyeball being pulled out of the freaking monster. Seeing all this sinew and veins and all that.
Yeah, so screen it if you want to see if your kids can handle it or not. But it could be a good gateway horror movie. Like, but it's and what's funny is that if you think that's intense for Sam Raimi, go back and watch some of his earlier work, and you ain't seen nothing yet. But yeah,
I'll be fair. This one doesn't have a gushing fountain, a gushing fountain geyser of blood going off.
It probably had opportunities for it though. But anyway.
Well, yeah, that's it. So
anyway, but yeah, so I liked it. Neon had to give it a second opinion.
I enjoyed my go with it, but I definitely won't feel like I'll rank it as like one of my top favorites of the MCU, because there's still plenty of like strong, solid ones that don't feel rough in edges.
I thought this was a solid experience.
Like even
for
this,
me.
I feel like there are like ways that they could have improved certain things. I know they kind of explain with the Darkhold, but I feel like they could have gone just a little bit further. Like the whole sentient like Darkhold thing, that's one option. The Mephisto or Nightmare being like entities behind it. That's another thing. Could have also explained that like the Wanda literally got her Scarlet Witch persona from absorbing Agatha, so maybe it's like a little continuation of it was Agatha all along, but like in a conscientious level where it's like the witchcraft is kind of like overtaking her, or like we're dealing with the multiverse. Maybe this is like a Wanda from an evil multiverse where like she didn't get over her depression using the sitcom and just like decided to get into like the whole witchcraft thing. Like, and she frames our Wanda as being the bad one, but reveals that she's from a different universe. Or, and I'm spitballing here, have Doctor Strange be the unintentional actual antagonist, but it's, because they always kind of like have like this plot thread of like him making like these like decisions that seem to be good in the grand scheme of things, but seem to domino with like bad after effects, like trapping Casillas in a mirror dimension led to the Ancient One dying, or helping Spider-Man out with his plight led to No Way Home plot, or the giving Thanos the freaking time stone led to 5 years of everyone being blipped out of existence. So, like, whatever decisions he made in this movie continuously led to a domino effect of Wanda going, like, having her own vendetta, or like other universes, like having Strange's like making decisions, and him facing like that evil Strange actually turned out to be like him at the end of all of this.
But anyway,
that doesn't matter what we do to me, you're gonna end up as me anyways.
But basically,
all I'm saying is like do some Spidey 2 introspective is what I'm saying.
But I like that. He kind of does, but I like that more. So Mordo is kind of right when he says the greatest threat to any universe is you.
I mean, that's kind of what they were alluding to in the advertising.
But
again, it's what we got here is fine. Just like sand it out a little bit more.
You're not forcing this out a la Snyder Cut, are you?
No, nothing like that. They don't allude that there was another.
No. I mean,
things got meddled or things like that.
I mean, you're not just saying it's fine, just to say it's fine, huh?
It's just again, this is supposed to be. This is the first movie that actually has plot elements that are following up from the Disney Plus show, and like we always constantly heard that like this is the first time now finally that like things in the TV show can actually have an effect in the movies now. And to a degree, we kind of saw with a plot thread that was open in Black Widow of Yelena trying to find what happened to how Natasha like ended up dead after she got flipped out, and realized that Hawkeye was the last person that was with her before she mysteriously died, and managed to get that plot thread finished in the Hawkeye series. But that was a movie to a TV show. But this is supposed to be the first MCU entry where it's a TV show following up to a movie, and the movie says like, "Oh, that was a thing." So whatever, we're doing what we're doing here. It's just something I really need to. Hopefully that Kevin kind of takes notes and goes like, okay, maybe we should make sure to have directors at least keep actual tabs on the shows if they're following things.
I respectfully disagree, but I think Sam did the best he could. Michael Waldron is from Loki. I mean, hell, he's with the other Marvel shows, so. And right now they're going to be doing that Kevin Feige Star Wars movie, so we'll see where that goes. But
and kind of hard to find a way to close these things out or doing it live.
I guess you could say with this ramble, things really cut out of hand. But anyway, we're reining it back in. The multiverse is multiple possibilities. There's multiple possibilities where Marvel can go now. And Strange.
I suppose there's one more thing to point out. So again, we only for a movie called The Multiverse of Madness, it definitely doesn't deliver that many multiverses,
A lot of madness,
and it's
though.
kind of embarrassing. And it's kind of embarrassing to note that as this movie was out, another movie was going out with the multiverse thing, and that's definitely like had a lot more fun with the possibilities of that.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, and also embarrassingly at the same time, the a YouTuber content creator, Markiplier, is doing this pick and choose your adventure series of In Space with Markiplier, a follow up that the advertisement says that the multiverse is filled with the corpses of your mistakes. It's like you see both these things, and you wonder, it's like, why did Multiverse of Madness play it so safe?
On top of that, before the delay, we were also going to have Across the Spider-Verse having another multiversal project. So, yeah, I think Doctor Strange would have been like.
So it would have been like, yep. Why do we call this the Multiverse of Madness? Maybe we should just call this the Universe of Confoundness or something.
Or like Wrath of the Scarlet Witch, or Mysteries of the Darkhold.
But again, it's Phase 4 thing is supposed to lead to multiverse and have a multiverse of madness. I guess just.
I mean,
I
the
know,
end, the end game bad guy is.
When you put the word multiverse of madness in your title, that's a lot of expectations to live up to. It would be like having like hinting that Spider-Man No Way Home is bringing all these villains from other Spidey movies in, and then saying, "Nope, that's it. They're the only ones in. We're not bringing the other Spider-Man here. Hope you enjoy." Like the potential is just lost, is all I'm saying.
Again, I respectfully disagree with how that turned out. But I had a fun time with it, and as a Sam Raimi movie, it definitely has leaps and bounds.
All I'm saying is that like we could have still kept that like the third climax of that there, but we should have had like both Strange and Wanda like really going all out at the Wonder having like portals of multiverses opening up. Like literally, Wanda was draining America of her power. Why couldn't she have like just a little bit of that to open some portals? But then like Strange decided to one up things and bringing in other variants to Dreamwalk.
I would have laughed if, while crashing through all the multiverses, if they end up like passing by Ultron running through Watto at the same time.
It's another thing. Where's Awada during all of this? What's this? I know he's supposed to be the Watcher, but you'd think a figure that's known to be prophesied to chaotically destroy the multiverse, you'd think they should be having a little bit of an eyebrow raise. What, is Jeffrey Wright too busy doing Batman to do this?
Probably. Anyway, we hope if anybody was anybody even with us. I don't think I didn't check the chat. Apologies if you.
We're too late. There's no one besides one blip of like some out of nowhere place.
Anyway, yeah, you're fine. Anyway, well, you guys will get to watch this on YouTube, and I don't know. The next time we'll do a big thing like this. Hopefully, the next movie Derek sees won't piss him off beyond belief that he won't want to do any of these things.
So I think the next one should be either Lightyear or Jurassic Park, but let's be fair, Jurassic World is going to be the thing that's definitely going to be where you're going to see both of us coming to.
Yeah, although I'm pretty sure I can nix any chances of that. If anything happens to Blue or Beta, I'll be like, Well, we're not going to talk about it because he's going to be too mad to to talk to me.
You're gonna be the one that's gonna be mad too. Let's just if the baby beta dies out, you're just gonna be like, oh, so we can keep baby Groot and baby Yoda and all the other baby things. We can't have a baby beta. Okay, I see how it is.
uh, okay. Anyway, inside thing for those who don't know. While her name is Beta, I think Neon finds it a little too impersonal, too numbers. So he just has to say, "Well, we'll go with
It's
Azure."
because Blue was the beta of the o- Owen's little raptor group. So it would be kind of like weird to say the someone's mom decided to name their child Nurse.
But
Is what I'm saying.
yeah. So we call her Azure as a little inside thing, which is very cute.
It just rolls on the tongue. But anyways, so
I guess this is it.
yeah, that'll be all. Hope you found enjoyment and found this particular maddening ramble of person that hated it turn to enjoy their time with it kind of amusing.
I guess the only thing left to say is groovy. uh, this is Jonesy Cat 79 signing off, and also signing off with my co-host Eric, aka darkneon. And remember, true believers.
Excelsior!
Oh, that reminds me. I bet you Stanley was so been one of the guys, either in the wedding or during the multiversing through thing, if he was still around.
Yeah.
Hey, but yeah, Excelsior. Catch you at the next one, guys. Alright, and scene.